Yes, I'll start with my brother. You may not get time to speak. Probably this would be your time. Maybe I will start with you to just check in on how are you. I will start with you to just check in on how are you, where are you from, what do you do. You could start us off. I will choose from my comrades. Yes, the gentleman has volunteered and the lady. Yes, please. What's your name? What do you do? Which country are you from?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm called Jock David. I'm from Uganda. I'm the project manager from my farm.
Thank you. This is amazing. Clap for them.
One of the things is understanding cross-sector.
Thank you. This is amazing. Clap for them.
One of the things is understanding cross-sector collaboration and bringing private public partnerships as well.
Amazing.
Collaboration and bringing private public partnerships as well.
Amazing. Good work. So, Ugandans, please don't ask for the mic again. We have had 2 Ugandans. So, Ugandans, please don't ask for the mic again. We have had 2 Ugandans, and I'm also Ugandan. So, let's go to North Africa, Central, or West Africa. Also Ugandan. So, let's go to North Africa, Central, or West Africa. Central? West Africa. Okay. Central? West Africa. Okay. Please, in 30 seconds. What's your name? What do you do?
Okay, good morning. I am Yayaso from the smiling coast of the Africa, the Gambia. I do food processing and preservation. Our aim is to reduce food wastage and environmental pollutions. Also, we train young school dropouts mainly.
I process the fruit into chips. My main goal is to reduce the food waste. So thank you.
Main goal is to reduce food waste. Amazing. That is good. Hunger in Africa is serious. So if someone is doing something amazing, it's commendable. Please clap for the lady. Eh? When people are sharing initiatives, this is good. Then we should be starting soon. I saw a hand somewhere here. Which region? West Africa. We had Congo Brazzaville, and we are having which country? Ghana. Aha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Kumsin. I serve as a youth sounding board member for the UNDP Ghana. Yeah, so thank you very much. Nice to meet you all.
What does the youth sounding board do?
So the youth sounding board, what we do is serve as a bridge between the UNDP Ghana and the youth within Ghana. We make sure that the challenges and issues that relate to the youth are mainstreamed as far as the UNDP's policies and programs are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think thank you so much, my brother from Ghana. I think we should be able to start our session. Okay, we should, but yes, as we are settling in, I'm happy that we've had Uganda, West Africa, Central, and North Africa in the building. So North Africa we are still waiting for you. And yes, Southern Africa, however much he lost the bag, but he still has the energies. So it's good. Welcome again to Youth Connect Africa 2024 Summit, where we make youth ideas a reality and a possibility, where if you have an idea, it's very possible for you to get moving. And again, my name is Emolot Alan David. I do chair the AfCFTA Youth Advisory Council, and what we do is champion youth interests in business. And I believe that's why we are here today to discuss, to chant ways on how best our African young people are positioned. Not only take advantage of the economic opportunities the AfCFTA offers, but most importantly, discuss the challenges and also solutions. You know, over time, African young people have been known for complaining. Our leaders say that when we go on the tables, we don't provide solutions. We are always complaining and complaining. But what I want to assure us today, that the room we are in is a room where ideas need to come out of us and also be able to propose. That as we leave this room, as our policy makers and development partners leave this room, they should leave this room knowing that the hope that is reflected in Agenda 2063 specifically Aspiration 6, is actually going to be achieved and is alive. And that will come from us, our young people here in the room, to share very constructive ideas, very realistic ideas. Don't share amorphous ideas, but very realistic ideas that can be achievable, that can be attained, that can be promoted. So without further ado, I would love us to start our session. But most importantly, I know you've seen our eminent table here that is going to start us. And the goal of this session that we are in today is to see that we engage. This is our session, the young people. And please clap for the Youth Connect Summit and the partners. This is our session. This is our session to create ideas. This is our session to ensure that when we leave this room, when we leave Kigali, we are leaving Kigali with a resolution that our member states should be able to implement, with a resolution that our partners in our home countries should be able to implement. So, and this is why we put this roundtable in place, to ensure that these ideas that we have come into place. So without further ado, allow me firstly start by introducing the eminent table. And without any order, but starting from my immediate right, I will not introduce them, but I believe they will do justice to the introductions, and then eventually we can then jump into the opening remarks, and eventually open the floor as we proceed. So if you may allow me, just get the mic, and I will start with no particular order, but from the right, my right to the... Oh, yes. With guidance, you know, for those of us who have been politicians, or for those of us who are interested in politics, you know, when the president comes into the district, the LOC1 has to report and has to, first of all, make the announcement first to welcome the president. In this case, our LOC1 is the Youth Connect Africa. So they are the ones to start us up, welcome us in the building. I was owning their position, but I beg to be guided. Please, let's welcome the LOC1 of the venue, and this is Youth Connect Africa to start us off. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Monsieur.
So opening remarks. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Esteemed guests, dignitaries, colleagues, and the president, not the future, but the president of Africa. We are gathered here today to answer a very challenging yet crucial question. How do we create jobs and opportunities for our youth within the AfCFTA framework? How many jobs do we need? I mean, that's a fundamental question right away. How many jobs do we need? Well, we need, as of today, we need 18 million jobs per year to absorb the new workforce. Some estimates even say 25 million, but let's stay conservative and say 18 million jobs per year as of today. In 2030, we will need even more, of course. We'll need 30 million jobs per year. So that's a huge challenge, obviously. But the good news is that we know where these jobs will come from. We have the answer. And they will come from M, micro, MSMEs. So micro, small, and medium enterprises. So how do I know that? Well, as of today, 80% of new jobs in Africa are created by these MSMEs. So that's the engine of growth for the future. That's clear. Now, the issue we have is that these SMEs are confronted with significant challenges. One of those is that the life expectancy of these MSMEs is on average just 3 years. So they have a hard time growing. And actually, it's interesting, yesterday I met a young lady from Congo, I think she's here, Edith, who's here. Very bright. She started a company a couple of years ago. She processes fruits, I think she said that. She processes fruit and turns them into chips under a brand called Kitoko Chips. But the issue she has is that, the challenge she has is that the local market is quite small. I mean, Congo-Brazzaville is 6 million population. And Brazzaville, the capital, is only 2 million. So it's a small market for her. So for her company to survive, to thrive, she has to grow beyond her market. But she's been having a hard time doing that. We talked about that yesterday. She has lots of partners in the region, but she's finding it very difficult to get things moving because of the issues that I think we'll be discussing today, customs procedure and so on. So we have, for the first time, I believe, a significant tool, a powerful tool to help us tackle this issue, and that's the AfCFTA, which, as we all know, is a wonderful opportunity for us. But then the question that I think we'll be addressing today is, how do we leverage that powerful tool to benefit entrepreneurs like Edith and countless more who are here today and who are participating in this summit and beyond? How do we leverage the AfCFTA to benefit them and allow them to grow so that they can create the 30 million jobs that we will need by 2030? So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please, let's clap for our host again. Let's clap for our host. Thank you so much, Edie, for that. And now we will, he has talked about, how can we solve the problems of our young people and how can we create. And right now we have an interesting African Union body that has been positioned to champion the creation of over 30 million jobs. It's not my role to exhaust the points, but it's for Gonaya to actually come in and give us her opening address from, she's representing the AfCFTA Secretariat. Gonaya, welcome. A clap for the Gonaya. She's looking amazing here. Please. Yeah?
A very good morning. Good morning, young people. Yes, yesterday we were guided. It's either you are youth or you are youthful. Good morning, young people. Thank you very much. That's the energy that we need from young people of Africa who are in this round table with so much hope and so much courage to take Africa forward. My name is Juanaya Mwene-Setora, and I'm expert on youth and trade at the AfCFTA Secretariat. My main responsibility within this job is to make sure that youth and trade of Africa are integrated within the framework of the AfCFTA or within the scope of the AfCFTA agreement. Ms. Grace, I was supposed to give a speech on behalf of His Excellency yesterday during the opening ceremony. So I believe this could be the right platform, except if I'm timed. Thank you very much. I bring you warm greetings from the headquarters of the AfCFTA Secretariat in Ghana. His Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General of the AfCFTA, sends his sincere apologies for not being able to make it to this meeting, as he's currently in Ethiopia hosting the 15th meeting of Council of Ministers of Trade, responsible for trade in Africa. Allow me to also firstly express my sincere appreciation to the government of Republic of Rwanda, Youth Connect Africa Hub, and partners whom are the facilitators of this year Youth Connect Africa 2024. This summit is a testament to the immense potential and boundless possibilities that lie within our continent. It is indeed a platform that nurtures the ambitions of young, innovative minds and paves the way for a prosperous future for all young Africans. We gather here today amidst a backdrop of immense challenges under the theme, Jobs for Youth Through Innovative Scaling, as the continent continues to grapple with the effects of youth economic disparities. However, it is in time of adversity that the true strength of our Africa's spirit shines through. Our youth have not been deterred by these challenges. Instead, they have risen above them, undeterred, to create extraordinary enterprises that exemplify the entrepreneurial spirit that defines our continent. Entrepreneurship stands out as a crucial pillar for youth job creation in Africa. And governments should, actually must, prioritize in their development efforts to create jobs for young Africans. Currently in the continent, ladies and gentlemen, the continent of Africa has the highest youth unemployment rates, especially in the sub-Saharan region, which stood at 48% in the year of 2022, a situation that further exacerbated the levels of poverty and low productivity on the continent. The AfCFTA recognizes the significance of small and medium enterprises in driving economic growth and job creation. However, the youth, the women, the SMEs, to thrive, we must address the challenges they face, such as, of course, limited access to finance, limited access to markets, regulatory barriers, and insufficient skills. The AfCFTA will work towards removing these obstacles by streamlining trade regulations, providing financial support through dedicated SME funds, and promoting skills development programs tailored to the needs of young entrepreneurs. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to inform you on the progress of the AfCFTA agreement. As you may recall, the 35th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly held in 2022 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, decided to include the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade within the scope of the AfCFTA agreement. The inclusion of the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade is founded on the commitment of the African Union Assembly to broaden inclusiveness in the operation of the AfCFTA through interventions that support young Africans, women, and SMEs, as well as integrating informal cross-border traders into formal economy by implementing a simplified trade regime. Further, the inclusion of women and youth in trade within the agreement contributes to broader mission of increasing the role of African women across all aspects of development to achieve Aspiration Agenda 2063, Agenda 6 of the Aspiration 6 actually of the Agenda 2063, which which envisages an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women and youth, and caring for children. In this context, ladies and gentlemen, in the year 2022, as guided by the AU Assembly, the AfCFTA Secretariat began the work of negotiating the first ever protocol on women and youth in trade, in which I am gladly to announce and let you know that this protocol was successfully adopted at the 37th Ordinary Summit of the AU early this year, February 2024. Under the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade, we are guided under Article 4.4 to develop a ministerial regulation on preferential market access for women and youth in trade. And this regulation comes as the first implementation strategy for the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade, with the understanding that the articles and the provisions of the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade may have been general in a way to member states, but the ministerial regulation would guide and give comprehensive guidance and for member states to facilitate the implementation of the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade. I am actually looking forward to hearing the contributions of this roundtable as the negotiations of the ministerial regulation on preferential market access for women and youth in trade are still ongoing. So the outcomes and the recommendations of this roundtable will indeed guide the content and certain key elements within this ministerial regulation. And of course, to Youth Connect, we are to report the outcomes of this roundtable to His Excellency Wamkelemene, the Secretary General that you know stands for young people, support young people, and has always given young people an opportunity to be integrated within the AfCFTA. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was quite a mouthful, but thank you. I think the message from His Excellency has been well received. I don't know how many were taking the notes, but I was seeing people jotting down. And I am hoping that we pick up from that and see how best we could push it forward. Now, you know, as they say, that for everything to happen, for all ideas to become a reality, especially for our young people, it requires funding, it requires finance, and it requires partnership with key financial institutions to make it happen. And as the young people, you know, we are privileged. Again, thanks to Youth Connect, Mr. Edie, for ensuring that we have the right people in the room. And this time round, I would actually now want to invite MasterCard Foundation, specifically Mrs. Atsuko Toda, Senior Director from of Entrepreneurship Development from the MasterCard Foundation. I hope I got the name right. You know, us Ugandans and East Africans pronounce wrongly, but I actually hope I got the name right. Yes, if I may just get this microphone and hand it over to Mrs. Asuko. Welcome. Please clap for her, please. You people, you know, when we talk about finance, and I've been saying that things have to happen, and you hear I'm saying MasterCard and you're not clapping. How are you going to get finance, my people? You should be the first to clap even harder. Please, let's clap. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you so much, David. And you pronounced my name absolutely correctly. Good morning, young people. Good morning, young people at heart. It's really, really nice to be here today. And I think as David has actually tried to provoke us and the ED, really it's about resolutions, it's about commitments, it's about action. And I think yesterday His Excellency Paul Kagame, Mr. President, has also mentioned that let's stop talking and let's start doing. So it's really great to hear that the resolution has been passed by the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, the AfCFTA, and we really need to take advantage of it. It is beautiful to see young people here. It is beautiful to see the private sector, the honorable ministers, this multi-stakeholder platform to be able to take words to action. So we really look forward to hearing from you today. As the MasterCard Foundation, we really look forward to support, very much trying to meet young people, young women where they are. I think the ED mentioned micro, small, medium enterprises, particularly micro, small. There's a number of small-scale traders, particularly young women, who are existing today doing cross-border trade. Primarily, if you look at agriculture, trade is actually the second area where we find the most entrepreneurs. And I'd like to take the opportunity also not to disqualify young men, but young women entrepreneurs. If we look at Africa today, 1 in every 4 entrepreneurs is a woman. And that is an incredible number. And when we think about what women do, they plow 90% back of the money they make back into their households, back into their communities. So you can imagine what supporting young women entrepreneurs can mean for societies. There are a number of challenges for young traders. And thank you, young people. I really look forward to hearing you today. We look forward to listening to you. But the challenges are great. The barriers are great. We're looking at agency. This morning, we were in the TED Talks. We heard about confidence. We heard about what it takes to be a young entrepreneur. We've also looked at market access, heard about the difficulties of finance, the information, and now with the AfCFTA in motion, we'd really like to understand what are the areas that really help young entrepreneurs to expand their markets. And sometimes we feel the AfCFTA is up here and the entrepreneur is right there. Let's bring it together. And we look forward to hearing about some concrete solutions, young people, please, about how we can translate this for you. We look forward to connecting young entrepreneurs with buyers, suppliers, and investment. And today, there are digital platforms, digital ways to make sure that what you have in front of you as products, goods, and services is put on digital platforms. So your market is much broader than the market that we have today. And really, the AfCFTA provides that basis. Secondly, let's look at finance. Let's find the digital ways to be able to support access to finance for young people, for young women. And let's look at the barriers that really stop these young people for having the affordable finance, the non-collateral finance that will allow them to expand their businesses. And finally, I know that there is the Young People's Business Council here. Let's put them in touch with business councils, advisories, associations to make sure that the networks are there to bring the young people up. And I do feel that finally, being an entrepreneur is about taking risk. It's also an entrepreneur is only as strong as the market is. So today, let's come up with concrete solutions to ensure that every young entrepreneur has a market that they can believe in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Asuko. And, please clap for her again. When we're talking about finance and a development partner seemingly is committing to giving us money, to supporting us, the young entrepreneurs, that's all we need. And I believe that's why the hundreds of us who are here now are also looking forward to that commitment. And when she commits like that, it deserves another round of applause, Javeni. We hardly get this. And that's why we are interesting many development partners and financial institutions to commit. Now, at this juncture, we are going to our keynote. And, as I said, when you have the LOC ones in the room, there is no way you want to take over that space. Now, we are going to Cameroon. But for Cameroon, it's not my duty to invite the minister to give us a keynote address. The National Youth Council chairperson is with us, so I cannot take over her role. Let me give my good sister here, very smart lady. Please, let you stand up, they see you, please. She won the re-election, by the way. So she's standing tall here. She will introduce herself and eventually invite the minister to give us the keynote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Can I feel the youthful roundtable here? When I say Youth Connect, you say Africa. Viva Africa, viva. Youth Connect, Africa. With more power, please. Youth Connect, Africa. Youth Connect, Viva Africa! Viva! Viva Africa! Viva! Are you convinced? Viva Africa! Viva! Thank you. My name is Fadimatu Yawa Osmanu. I am the President of Cameroon National Youth Council, and it is my utmost pleasure to introduce the person we used to call in Cameroon the doctor of Cameroonian young people, because he is the chief doctor of the family. And some young people in the National Youth Council have said that the Youth Council is the nurse services, because we start by counseling, and when it is above us, then we go to the doctor. So this is the role that he used to play. And in the continent, Most of the chairpersons of youth councils know him. Yesterday, we met with the Executive Bureau of the Pan-African Youth Union, and then they said, he is the minister of the Pan-African Youth Union. So he is a Pan-Africanist. He is the doctor of the youth. He is the father of the youth, and he loves young people so much. He is so dedicated to young people in Cameroon and also in Africa. And today, we have the pleasure and the utmost pleasure, because for me, I'm so happy to have him around. Can you please give a round of applause to His Excellency Monona Futsu, Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education of Cameroon. Is Cameroon here? Please, can you shout, Le continent, est-ce qu'on peut vous sentir? Voilà. Viva Africa! Welcome, Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And translation is available. Please, you've had us speak French. Please. Thank you. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Since Cameroon is bilingual, I wanted to speak French, but I'll speak English since most of us here understand English. So, dear colleagues, ministers here present, honorable guests, distinguished leaders of Cameroon National Youth Councils all over the continent, and vibrant youth of Africa. It is with great honor and enthusiasm that I take the floor at this Youth Connect Africa Summit. This gathering is a testament to our collective commitment to empowering the youth of Africa and fostering a future where our young people are at the forefront of economic transformation. That is why, first of all, on behalf of the Cameroon delegation, I would like to thank sincerely the government of Rwanda and the organizing committee of Youth Connect Africa platform to always organize this successful, important African event, and also to have invited us usually. So today we are here to discuss a pivotal theme, enabling ecosystems for youth-led made-in-Africa production trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area. This theme is not just a topic of discussion, as some has already said, but a call to action for all of us to create an integrating environment where our youth can thrive as entrepreneurs and leaders in trade. I seize this opportunity also to thank all the co-panelists here of the Youth Connect Africa platform of AfCFTA, Secretariat of MasterCard, and so on. So to enable African youth to participate economically, we must recognize that entrepreneurship and trade are key gateways for youth access to employment and well-being. Our young people are brimming with innovative ideas and entrepreneurial spirit. However, they often face significant barriers such as limited access to finance, markets, and mentorship. It is our duty to dismantle these barriers and build robust ecosystems that support youth-led enterprises. I am pleased that the AfCFTA agreement, which the majority of African states have ratified, including Cameroon, has the potential to tackle these challenges by opening new trade opportunities and creating jobs for young entrepreneurs, and support, as the coordinator of Youth Connect Africa says, support micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, the MSMEs. This agreement, as we know in its Article 27, calls in particular for strengthening the export capacities of service providers in the formal and informal sector, with particular attention to MSMEs, as well as young and women service providers. This agreement will strengthen certainly Africa's common voice and policy space in global trade negotiations, ensuring that our continent is not just a participant, but a key player on the global stage. According to the World Bank, the AfCFTA has the potential to lift 50 million people out of extreme poverty and lead to a 9% increase in income. I also welcome the efforts undertaken by African states in the direction of densifying the industrial fabric and diversifying our economies. This contributes to build a facilitating environment where the projects carried out by our young people will be better valued. To truly enable youth-led Made-in-Africa production trade, we must focus on creating supportive ecosystems. This involves, first of all, access to finance, establishing financial instruments and institutions that provide affordable credit and investment opportunities for young entrepreneurs, such as grants, low-interest loans, and venture capital investments. In my country, Cameroon, for example, thanks to the presidential 3-year special youth plan, a guarantee fund for young entrepreneurs has been put in place with a special branch for youth of the diaspora in joint venture with those of the national territory. Its objective is to mobilize all categories of fundings from financial partners. Secondly, you have market access, facilitating access to both local and international markets through trade fairs, digital platforms to connect youth to regional markets and export incentives. In Cameroon, for example, at the Youth Connect Cameroon Convention, every year on December, we organize the International Exhibition for Young Entrepreneurs, known as CIPROM Jeune, which brings together the icons of youth entrepreneurship to get into clusters, to access to market, but also they bring together the big companies that can get into business with those young entrepreneurs, as well as the governmental and non-governmental instruments accompanying the entrepreneurs, like the agencies for the promotion of SMEs, the agency for the promotion of investment, etc. Thirdly is capacity building. There's offering training and mentorship programs that equip young people with the skills and knowledge needed to succeed in business through AfCFTA. In Cameroon, this is done notably through the Youth Connect Cameroon boot camps organized all over the national territory along the year in prelude of the Youth Connect Cameroon Convention, usually held on December, where there is a national bootcamp and accompanied with awards for the champions. Fourthly is infrastructure and logistics. That's important to invest in transport and communication infrastructure that will facilitate intra-African transport and internet connection, both in urban and rural areas. So for Cameroon, we have a digital master plan, and we are also part of the regional development plans in those domains. We have also policy support, because implementing policies that reduce bureaucratic hurdles and create a conducive environment for startups and small businesses is very important. So it's also important to harmonize and simplify trade regulation among AfCFTA member countries to reduce all kinds of barriers which seriously hampers market product circulation across African countries. And then the representative of the Secretariat of AfCFTA has said it. So for Cameroon, our Cameroon National Youth Policy is being revised, and many of those challenges are being discussed with the other ministries and stakeholders to come out with a strong youth empowerment plan for that purpose. So finally, we have national promotion of local products. That's launching marketing campaigns to promote made in Africa products in local and international markets, organizing trade fairs, exhibitions, and events to showcase African products. So in my country, Cameroon, this is done during different events along the year. As I said, Cipromotion is one of those events. And we have also other fairs known as youth villages, unity villages, organized during the celebration of the National Youth Day in Cameroon, which is on the 11th February, and the National Day, which is on the 20th May. In those villages, the special quarters dedicated to made in Cameroon products, and to the Cameroonian diaspora, and the other stand assigned to the invited African countries. So we do think that this summit is a unique opportunity for us to collaborate and share best practices. By working together, we can create a network of support that spans across borders and sectors. Governments, private sector, civil society, and international partners must join forces to build a future where African youth can lead the way in production and trade. From a personal perspective, I don't have any doubt that it is possible to achieve greatness. This is the message I want to impart to every young person here today. Your dreams are valid, young people, and your potential is limitless. To this effect, in Cameroon, we have an important program known as Pronec Reamos. That's the National Education Civil Education Program through moral, civil, and entrepreneurial rearmament, which objective is to inculcate the fighting spirit of our indomitable lion of football to each young Cameroonian, that each young Cameroonian should be an indomitable lion in his domain of competence or activity. And we think that this should be done African-wide in the interest of the African youth for that Africa we want by 2063, thanks to AfCFTA. In conclusion, let us remember that the future of Africa lies in the hands of its youth. By enabling ecosystems for youth-led Made-in-Africa production trade through the AfCFTA, we are not only creating jobs, but also building a resilient, prosperous, and integrated continent. Let us seize this opportunity in this moment to empower our young people and pave the way for a brighter future. In that regard, I would like to say that there are already many inspiring stories of young entrepreneurs who are making a significant impact and who are here in the summit. I think that the Master of Ceremony has presented some. There are many Cameroonians who are working on that subject. I will not cite them, but there are also many other organizations of young people who are doing the significant stress in the context of the African continental free trade areas. For example, the AfCFTA Young Entrepreneurs Federation, the Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development in Africa, and so on. So it means that young people themselves have already taken their responsibility to lead that sector. So thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And listening to you, one thing came to mind. You know, over the years, we've been on a quest since 2021 to interest our member states to implement the African Youth Charter. And the African Youth Charter explicitly talks about, especially the articles, if you look at Article 8, Article 12, 14, that talks about education, skills, empowerment, 12 talks about, 10 talks about youth participation, and 8, it mainly highlights or interests member states to commit to empowering young people, creating spaces. And it's interesting that you mentioned specifically Article 12 of the African Youth Charter talks about national, the national youth policy. And I'm happy that you are reviewing as a country your national youth policy, which is very commendable. Just to report to Your Excellency, we are still struggling. Some member states are still hesitant to ratify the African Youth Charter, and our interest is to see that most of them ratify. But it's not my duty now to contribute or to bring more life to your presentation, but rather my colleague Gugu will then be able to bring more life to your presentation. And you mentioned very critical issues of finance. And again, I love to mention that when our policymakers and our development partners are emphasizing these things on their own without being provoked, it deserves another round of applause. You know, they say that the Gen Zs are antagonistic, but here we are with very progressive leaders representing us, the young people. Please, let's clap for them. Let's clap for His Excellency. And yes, so thank you so much. And Your Excellency, you mentioned one thing that is very important, that us, the young people, are the ones currently championing the AfCFTA implementation. Yes, indeed. You mentioned that we are championing, and thanks to Youth Connect brought a consortium of youth organizations together to then brainstorm. And actually, this session here is supported by Youth Connect, but they brought us different youth organizations to brainstorm and put this youth policy session together and see that the outcomes of this session here then informs, just as Gonaya has mentioned, informs the policies that are going to be adopted by our Council of Ministers, but most importantly, it will give direction to the implementation of the AfCFTA that is youth responsive. Because again, what we don't want our multilateral companies to be the ones benefiting from the AfCFTA. But with this consultation, we hope and believe that the resolution that will come out of here will indeed position us, the young people. So thank you so much, Your Excellency. Again, a round of applause for Your Excellency. And at this juncture, I would love to invite my colleague, Gugu, to then just give us the context. What is this that we are talking about and why we are here as the young people? And just to mention, as I've mentioned again, that this effort, what she's going to be able to present, is a collection of youth organizations. The AfCFTA Youth Advisory Council, YALDA is also there, the African Youth Business Council, and different other youth organizations, including the African Union Youth Division, that were brought together by Youth Connect to brainstorm on what needs to be done, what are the challenges, but most importantly, what needs to be done. So that at least when we open up the floor, you already have the basis to engage and also bring more fresh ideas into the policy document that we shall hand over to Gonaya. She has committed. We will hand over to her, but also most importantly, hand over to Your Excellency to then carry on the implementation at the country level. So Google, welcome, and please take over from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. That was such a great introduction. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? The vibe is a bit low, but I'm guessing that as the day goes on, I'm sure it'll be able to get up to par, hey? Anyway, with no further ado, good morning, honorable ministers, as well as esteemed guests. My name is Guguletu Siso, but please feel free to call me Gugu. I'm sitting with you today, representing a consortium of youth-led organizations, such as the African Youth Business Council, the Independent Continental Youth Advisory Council on the AfCFTA, and the Youth Alliance for Youth Leadership and Development in Africa, presenting to you a topic that is close to our hearts as the youth of Africa, namely the ecosystem enablement of youth SMEs in production and trade. Africa's youth are the driving force behind its economic future. Yet young entrepreneurs face critical challenges in harnessing cross-border trade opportunities. But to truly tap into regional opportunities, they need more than just raw ambition. Through research with young leaders, as well as the AfCFTA Youth Inclusion Study, we've been able to identify key solutions to gaps that they face in order to allow them to fully exploit their role as economic change makers. So in order to address the needs of Africa's youth entrepreneurs, we've decided to categorize them into 3 distinct personas, and each reflecting a different level of scale, formality, as well as market engagement. First off, we're going to start off with the informal trader, when 95% of Africa's youth stay within this demographic. These individuals, often between the ages of 18 and 35, operate small subsistence-based businesses and with limited capital, typically generating less than $10,000 per annum. Can you imagine that? Their trade activities are primarily confined to local or regional markets, and they face significant funding constraints, relying heavily on working capital to maintain their day-to-day operations. The businesses are informal, with a limited structure, making access to broader markets as well as formal financial assistance almost impossible. Next up is the semi-formal producer, representing around 4% of youth entrepreneurs in Africa. They operate small to medium-scale businesses, often in production sectors such as agriculture, and generating up to $1 million per annum. They face funding needs beyond working capital, often experiencing capex as well as operational expenditures hurdles. Their businesses are semi-formal, with some legal structure here and there, but they're not yet fully integrated into formal systems as well as regulatory systems. Although they conduct cross-border trade, it is typically within their regional bloc. Lastly, I'm going to bring to you the formalized digital service provider, informally known in Africa as the startup. They comprise around 1% of the youth entrepreneurs on the continent, and they operate fully formalized businesses, mainly in the digital services sector, generating up to $1 million per annum. They have stable operational funding needs and are well integrated with formal financial systems. Though leveraging digital means, these entrepreneurs can trade across the continent, engaging with clients as well as suppliers across their regional bloc as well as across the continent. However, among these 3 personas that I just brought to you, we're going to be focusing on persona 1, who we're going to be calling Amina from now on. in order to illustrate the challenges that are faced by most of these young entrepreneurs who fall within this particular representative block. Amina is a 28-year-old Tanzanian who runs a small agribusiness producing dried fruits. Her business is small and informal, and she exports her goods by bus to Kenya and Uganda, where her friends sell her goods on her behalf at the markets in Kenya and Uganda. She started her business by borrowing the startup capital from her sister, but unfortunately, she faces multiple challenges in expanding her market access, as well as securing sustainable funding. So let's take a closer look at Amina's journey. Amina faces significant challenges in her day-to-day business. Like many young entrepreneurs, securing finance is difficult as she faces high collateral requirements and limited flexible options with reasonable interest rates, making it tough for her to grow. Compliance costs, as well as complex regulations, also poses another challenge, as each country that she tries to export to sometimes has different regulations, leading to delays at the border, as well as her sometimes completely losing her goods. Like many, she uses social media in order to grow her business, but however, her business growth is hindered by limited access to affordable data, making online expansion almost impossible as well. On the production side, Amina currently rents a small plot of land for processing of her goods, but her landlord is unreasonable and often raises her rent unexpectedly, restricting her ability to grow, as well as her capacity to be able to produce even more goods. She needs reliable market information as well as demand insights, which could help guide her in making better trade decisions. However, despite her drive as well as relentless ambition, these obstacles keep Amina, as well as millions of other young entrepreneurs on the continent, from fully engaging in regional trade. So, how do we help entrepreneurs like Amina? Her wish list for interventions, including to partners like Mr. Suko from the MasterCard Foundation, include tailored business development services through comprehensive wraparound support that adapts to her business's unique needs from startup to scale. If only there was also collaboration with trade ministries and development partners, such as the International Trade Center, as well as UNDP Africa, which could help to establish centers that focus on business articulation, customer acquisition, export readiness, compliance, financial literacy, as well as many others that could help entrepreneurs such as Amina be positioned to take advantage of the opportunities that come to their way daily. Secondly, Amina wishes that she had ease of access to factors of production through a framework that improves access to essential resources like land, reducing her reliance on unpredictable rental agreements. The support could be operationalized through affordable equipment leasing programs created through public-private partnerships, enabling Amina, after securing her land, of course, to lease essential machinery at reduced rates, as well as lower her upfront investment barriers. This could happen through joint programs within ministries of lands and resources, allowing entrepreneurs to share access to equipment, land, as well as other resources, fostering collaborative and cost-effective solutions for production needs. Amina also wishes that she had youth-friendly financial access mechanisms, including alternative investment vehicles for young entrepreneurs. This would be essential to support their growth and reliance. Additionally, she also wishes that there were flexible funding models, such as revenue-based financing and innovative collateral schemes that are designed to meet these unique needs. Unlike traditional loans with fixed repayment programs, revenue-based financing could align with Alina's repayment programs with the business revenue, allowing payments to adjust with cash flow. To bring this model to life, governments could partner with development banks, donor agencies, the private sector investors to establish a youth revenue-based fund, which spreads the financial risk across all of the stakeholders. Collaborations with fintech companies could also streamline her repayment tracking, using automated systems that link Amina's revenue data directly to the repayment schedules. By establishing collateral-free as well as flexible guarantee schemes similar to Cameroon's presidential guarantee funds, more young entrepreneurs could gain access to such funding, allowing them to grow across the borders that they are currently confined to. Additionally, Amina also wishes that she had youth-responsive trade facilitation as well as simplified regulations that reduce compliance costs as well as the delays that she's currently facing at the border, enabling her to move her goods much faster as well as have a smoother cross-border trade experience. Lastly, Amina wishes that there could be the establishment of youth trade facilitation desks, but through dedicated support through youth trade desks at trade ministries, the AfCFTA Secretariat, the regional economic communities, offering guidance, market information, and trade resources tailored to young entrepreneurs such as Amina that could make critical information much more accessible. This desk could possibly pilot programs that could be launched in selected regions, establishing a track record of success before they are launched nationally as well as regionally. Metrics to gauge the success of this youth trade desk could include usage raised by the entrepreneurs themselves, improvements in compliance by youth-led businesses, as well as the number of successful market entrants by youth-led enterprises within the regional market. Together, these interventions would create a supportive foundation for Amina as well as countless other young entrepreneurs on the continent. Honorable ministers and esteemed guests, we, on the behalf of Amina, as well as millions of other young entrepreneurs on the continent, acknowledge the progress that has been made through initiatives such as the AfCFTA, the Women and Youth Protocol, as well as the Guided Trade Initiative to support entrepreneurs such as Amina. However, we urge you to prioritize establishing preferential market and financial access frameworks that cater specifically to youth businesses. Let's create a simplified trade regime that reduces technical barriers and empowers youth-led businesses to expand across the continent. By offering tailored business development services, as well as easing access to essential resources such as land and capital, we can unlock the potential of youth entrepreneurs. We also need youth-responsive trade facilitation and simplified regulations alongside dedicated youth trade desks within trade ministries, the AfCFTA Secretariat, and regional economic communities to guide these young entrepreneurs through the complexities of trade. We must support collaboration by encouraging partnerships between governments, financial companies, telecom companies, and youth organizations to implement these initiatives effectively. Additionally, we also need to allocate resources, prioritizing funding and resource allocation for the establishment of development centers, regional trade facilitation desks, as well as capacity building programs. Finally, it's crucial to monitor progress by establishing clear metrics and regularly evaluating the impact of these initiatives to ensure that they meet the desired objectives, adjusting strategies as we go. As the old African proverb says, it is the young trees that make up the forest. Let's nurture these young trees to grow into a thriving, sustainable forest of youth-led innovation and cross-border trade. I thank you.
What else do I have to add? I think my job is done now. We can now hand over the document, and we know that it will be implemented, isn't it? Please clap for Gogo. Did you hear the English here? The way she's flawless. That English is from Zimbabwe. Clap for Zimbabwe. So, Gogo, thank you. I think you raised very key issues, and I want to believe that the good news, at least the good news is, some of those have already been highlighted when the keynote address from His Excellency Mrs. Asuka. Yes, from MasterCard, she has also highlighted that, and I'm happy that we're actually strengthening that also in our presentation. This actually shows that we're all thinking in the right direction. This Africa we want has to happen. And it has to happen when we are all working collectively. And these ideas we see is ideally what we need as a continent, when everyone is speaking the same language. And I'm happy from the beginning of the presentations at the high table here, we have been speaking the same language. Please clap for Google again. So allow me now that we already have the ideas, allow me invite, I hope I get the name right. Forgive me, I'm from Uganda, and the accent may not be the best, but I'd rehearsed. I'd rehearsed for this name, but Fumlani, I believe. Fumlani, yes. Fumlani and Kotwana. Hiyo, comrades. Clap for that name. Hey, clap for that name. Thank you so much. He is the AGGP Center for Entrepreneurship, and he's actually going to make it easy for us. He's going to discuss what needs to be done to ensure enabling national and regional ecosystems. Very direct, very clear, and he's just going to supplement on what the comrades have already presented. So please clap for him again as, let me just hand over the mic. Yes, please. And please feel free to reintroduce yourself again. Thank you.
Thanks. That was perfect, actually.
That was perfect.
Pumlani, yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Pumlani, and I'm from South Africa. And I'm very happy to be here. Everyone knows in South Africa, Rwanda is my second home. So really happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, I have a presentation that I'm sure is loading right now. Maybe while that's loading, I just wanted to acknowledge the ministers, the dignitaries, the esteemed guests, and the people we came here for, which is young people. So welcome, and thank you very much for entertaining us and listening to us. All right, I think, okay, awesome. So I just wanted to talk about one tool that we've recently created that we think that could be a good asset for people thinking about promoting entrepreneurship, particularly high growth entrepreneurship. I think you would have heard by now that the key, I mean, if you can summarize and distill this conversation, it comes down to entrepreneurial ecosystems. So you've heard that from each speaker, whether they use that term directly or indirectly. So we launched for the first time the African Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Index, which we are going to be launching an academic paper of in the next couple of weeks. So this is really a tool that we have put together to equip policymakers with knowledge to support African entrepreneurial ecosystem development. So there's a team here. I'm not doing this work alone. We've got colleagues. It's a Pan-African initiative as well. Colleagues from Kenya, Rwanda, Mauritius. We've got colleagues from different parts of the world, Belinda's from Ghana, etc. This work is housed at Stellenbosch University in partnership with Utrecht University and Innovation for Policy Foundation, I4 Policy. So our departure is that if you really want to get this right, so the conversation is about how do we empower young people to either self-employed or how do we create opportunities for young people to be employed? So either one of those paths requires you to take an ecosystem approach, and we look at 7 factors in this model, which is market access, and I think the colleagues have already addressed that. Human capital, finance, support, governance, culture, and infrastructure, which I think the esteemed minister already touched on as well, the importance of roads, etc., and internet penetration, all of that. So what we tried to do was to create a scientifically rigorous but also socially relevant sort of tool that can be a resource for countries. So if you go underneath those 7 areas, these are the indicators that we've used to generate this kind of work, and you can see how holistic and comprehensive they are. It's 20 different data sets across 7 dimensions. So if you zoom in, for example, on infrastructure, which already the minister mentioned, like roads is important, access to electricity, internet penetration, but also governance and cultural things like trusting in others to be able to do business is important. And I'm going to skip this, but it's basically showing the detailed data set, where it's coming from, and from which year. So if you look at, these are 29 countries. We did this work across 29 countries. And these are kind of the distributions. And you can see, that some of these things don't look good for Africa. This is a control of corruption, which is really poor, and creates issues, for example, for capital to flow in easily. And I'm going to skip this, but you can see different countries have different literacy rates, and these are, if you want to take a kind of a visual view of all the data sets, and we normalize them to give you this view. And you can see, I mean, if you take a helicopter bed view, that it's not looking particularly impressive from an ecosystem point of view. I'm going to skip this as well. This is just a matrix of the indicators to show how different and related they are. I'm going to skip this part for the nerds as well, but you can engage me afterwards in terms of how we construct the index itself. And these are distributions across different countries, across different indicators, all the 20 elements. And you could see countries that are struggling as well. So if we want to really get our entrepreneurs to trade with other countries, we have to take a Pan-African approach, not just a national approach. Finance issues, etc. I'm going to skip this bit as well for NEDs. And so if you apply all of that, that's the engine behind this work. If you apply that across the countries, and we use a robot system, so you don't have to be a statistician or a data scientist. Red is good, red is bad, green is good, yellow is getting there. And then this is the ranking of the countries. So obviously the highest country here would get a score of 7. And this is what the index looks like at the moment. And even the top 2 countries, it's not particularly impressive, because if you look at South Africa, for example, it's just above average, even though you would say that it's one of the top 4 ecosystems in the continent. But if you dig underneath and look critically, you can see the capacity for the country to create more jobs is very limited. So what we're trying to do with this index, which is really my job today, to say, how do you think about setting up enabling ecosystems? So I like to use the analogy of a car, because I like cars. And so what we're saying is we're looking underneath the engine. We're looking at the engine, not the speed. So if you look at Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, they might be producing more entrepreneurs. But if you look critically underneath, the question is, do they have capacity to do that consistently and across different forms of entrepreneurship outside digital entrepreneurship? And then you start to get a different answer. So this is really what this work is about. So if you just summarize, for example, this becomes then a good policy instrument for saying, well, what do you do about culture and support in South Africa, for example, which is not good? And how do you scale human capital and more support organizations, like what our colleagues are saying here in terms of incubation and acceleration? And how do you deal with issues of corruption, like governance, that erode the ecosystem? And then, of course, there's other areas that are green. I'm just showing a few examples. This is Rwanda, where we are. I thought I'll do this to just showcase where we are. For example, this then gives you a very good set of specific things that you need to fix. Instead of just thinking, let's launch another hub, let's launch another incubator or accelerator, and you're going beyond the training paradigm, you can say, well, let's deal with the fact that there's very little angels in the country to begin with, so early stage finance is an issue. So we cannot just encourage young people to consider entrepreneurship. We have to think critically about how do we finance them, how do we scaffold the work, and of course support organizations. For example, in Rwanda, very young, an average number of them is like 5 to 7 years. So they are startup themselves, but supporting other startups. So how do you confront that, and how do you improve those conditions, etc. Infrastructure, etc. Market access. Rwanda is very small, so demand issues. So what that means is that instead of just saying launch a venture, we should be thinking about how do we partner with other countries to create market access, because you're not going to be scaling from Rwanda, for example, so because you have to go to other countries. So things like that. This is just zooming in on one country. Mauritius, you can use this as well to look at the conditions, and Tunisia, for example. So what this does, it gives you very specific nodes of intervention or very specific elements that you can use to intervene and improve the ecosystem. All right, so, and that's my story. So I just wanted to share that tool with you guys. And you can check it out as well on that website, and then we can discuss offline. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my brother, for that. Please clap for him again. You know, one thing that is killing young African businesses is this what they fear, these statistics. They fear statistics. When it comes to say account, they fear, they don't want to look at numbers. All they want is the money, but when it comes to these numbers, they fear. And yet, this is the heartbeat of every business. If you cannot balance your books, how are you going to run a business? If you cannot know how much has come in and how much has gone out, how are you going to balance your business? So thank you so much for enlightening us on this, and I am hoping that the people in the room have interfaced with this, and maybe if they can also check on you, I don't know if it's on your website, they could always go visit and revisit for those who want to review, so that you have a good grasp on how best you can also make your own business better. Because again, as I've mentioned, statistics, book accounting, these figures are the heartbeat of your business. You don't have it, you will not access loans. You will go to MasterCard, they will ask for you. You show us how much you've been bringing over the years. You will not have any evidence. So please take these things serious, because again, there is no way you're going to go to ask for funding without presenting your books of accounts. So thank you so much again. And right about now, we are soon coming to us. I said this session is ours. I would want them to give us, to contextualize this idea, so that by the time we open the floor, we are not repeating what has been said, but rather you are taking notes and raising those issues that have not been highlighted now. That is the whole agenda. And we are making sure that we give it back to you. And right now, we are going to a roundtable discussion to broaden it a bit. Then eventually, if we're not taking very long, then eventually give it back to us. For those of us who may not be brave enough to share or hold the mic, write it down. I will be able to read it out and ensure that we leave this room when all our issues are highlighted. But before I actually do that, I don't know if my good sister is in the room. Nene, you're in the room. Amazing. And Nene is from Senegal, and she's just going to give us a testimonial. What has been her own experience as a young woman trading? You know, Madame from MasterCard focused on the women. Truth be told, women face a lot of challenges. And it's not for me to preempt, but I would also want to highlight as a man. You know me, I come from the border region of Malaba, Uganda. I am a son of a cross-border trader. So as you see me championing the AfCFTA, it's not because of anything. It's because my bread and butter was from crossing the border, Malaba to Uganda. So we began doing cross-border trade even before the AfCFTA. Please clap for my family too. We began doing this way before the AfCFTA. In the 30s, 40s, my great-grandparents. So I'm just carrying on their legacy to ensure the continent is economically integrated. So when you see me championing the AfCFTA, it's within the system. It's just within the system. So thank you so much, Nene, please. You come and give us your own experience. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to be here today. And I am so happy the panel is great. We're learning a lot of things, even though I've been in the business for a long time. I'm learning so much things today here. And why I'm here is to give the youth, the African youth, I have to applaud them because they have so much potential and they are very, very creative, and they are leaders all around. I'm here today to talk about my own experience because we started our business. We were not supposed, a business that was not supposed to survive, and 13 years later, we're still here. So thank you. I am the co-founder of Nene Yaya. We have, with my sister, we started a luxury handbag business that we started in Senegal. And when we first started, everybody told us that we were not going to succeed because everybody that had the potential of buying those kind of handbags would not wear the handbags made in Senegal. And that was what we were fighting for, to change the perception of luxury, the perception of African or Senegalese for luxury. So I started with my sister. We decided we were just going to go for luxury, and we didn't people told us that it was expensive and everything, but we said no, we were going to really work on having the same standards as the Western designers, high-end designers. And thankfully, for the first years, we had some people that embraced our company, our brand right away. But a lot of people, especially people that we knew, told us that no, it's not going to survive. And with perseverance, with attention to details and everything, we came up with bags that they are very, very proud of wearing. Right now, I'm very proud to say that our president wears Nene Yaya. Our first ladies, they used to wear Nene Yaya. At the inauguration, we have two first ladies. They both chose our brand to showcase the know-how of Senegal, made in the Senegal brands. And I'm very happy because, yes, we are making bags, we are making very nice bags, but at the same time, we started with a few artisans, maybe 2-3 artisans when we first started. Right now, we have 60 artisans, and they are all under 35 years old. And we're happy as well to say that they are earning a good salary, and they are very, very happy from where they started with us, and now they take pride in what they are doing with us. And that's something that I wanted to share with the youth. Tell them that it's possible to make it in Africa. We don't have to go abroad. We can make it because Africa is for me, some people, they would make bags I don't know, in Africa or elsewhere, but they will have to think about the Western world, where in Africa we have the market for that. So we just tapped in this market, and then we are succeeding because African people like the quality for our business. I'm talking about our business, and now that they embraced it, they wear it proudly. When they leave, they always call us to tell us how happy they are because everywhere they go, even in the high-end stores in France, in Italy, they always ask them where do they get their bags from, and so that's a great, great thing that we are very proud of. And also, we have these artisans that we have. are now staying in Senegal. For 13 years, we just had one artisan that left, and he left because he wanted to go to Morocco. But he came back to Nene Yaya to work with us again. So it's a great company to work for, and then I'm sure that in Africa we have so many great companies to work for, but the youth thinks that like they cannot make it here, it's just elsewhere, but no, they can make it here. And also we started also a new school, we're starting the new school where we will have like this, because in Senegal we are confronted with the young kids and the young women leaving and going to Europe. And right now we are showing them that they can make it in Africa. We have a school where they can learn how to make bags, and we're giving them also like marketing and leadership and classes. So when they finish, they can choose or to stay being like in the artisanal, in the workshops, or have their own businesses. So they are rounded like when they finish at that school. And we are working on doing that with them. And really, it's a good thing because now that we have to empower the youth. We have to show them that it's possible, it's really possible to make it in Africa. And the future is in Africa right now. It's our millennium, it's our century. They have to know that it's here now, like it's not elsewhere, because we have so many people like from Senegalese. I'm talking about the Senegalese because I'm from Senegal, but who live in, I would say, Italy or elsewhere. But when you see them, all they tell you is like, please have a company like that can make this or what they do there, so they can come back to Senegal, because they are not really happy there. They are not like the work environment is not great, and they know that when they are in Africa, they can make it and be with their family. So it's a great thing. So.
Thank you.
Hope that, like, I just wanted to let the youth know that it's possible to make it in Africa. Stay here, work hard. It's going to be hard, yes, but it's possible to make it in Africa.
Thank you. All I could hear is buy Africa, build Africa. That's all I hear.
Yes, yes.
Amazing. Clap for her again, please. She's doing amazing work. She's doing amazing work. Employing people. I don't know, how many do you employ? How many are you employing?
Oh, right now we have about 60 artisans and 10 people that are working in boutiques.
Yes.
We have like we are in other stores in Africa, within Africa, and I'm happy to say that we're about to open in Kigali.
Yes.
He was just saying that like he's the Rwanda is his second house, but I am like Rwandese as well. Yeah. This is my second house. I love this country, and yes, so we are like talking with the mall to open in Rwanda, and also start making bags in Rwanda. We will have to bring we spoke with the people in the leather sector, and they were saying like, because we make high-end luxury, and here they have leather, but they didn't have yet the finesse, that they needed, and the attention to detail. And we are so glad because we are going to bring it, and then we are bringing like a team of our ateliers to come here and teach them, and then so we will be able to make a Nene Yaya made in Rwanda.
Thank you. You know, the way you've described the bags, if I was married, I think I would be welcomed with hugs at home. It seems if you have
that's for sure.
Do you have a stall? Did you bring some samples so that this is?
I bought my own bag.
Njoyo. You people clap for her. She's
I just bought my own bag. But yes, you can. I will leave a
card.
Yes, Nene Yaya HB is our Instagram, and neneyaya.boutique is the website.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will clap for her again. My woman, if I am to get married, she should. That one would be the Kibeti. Sindio? Hey, so welcome. Thank you so much again. And now we are going to our policy. You know, we've talked, we've been able to share the high table, and also your context has been amazing. Now we would also want to hear from our decision makers again. It's not yet over. Colleagues, please document if you're not, if time gets us. I know we are running out of time, but if time gets us, please document those views. We will assess. The team is here. Google is also here. Grant is the other side. We will please put those thoughts down. The team, Grant and the team, will also be able to review and also make sure that the final document is reflective of your ideas. So right about now, we are going to our ministerial panel. And I would want to, of course, start with, just to introduce them, we have the Honorable Minister, Bakari Y. Bajay. Bakari Y. Bajay, I don't know, Minister, are you there? From the Gambia. How many of us know the Gambia? How many people know the Gambia? You see, many of us don't know the map of Africa. We only know our SADC, our ESC. Very few know the Gambia. You people don't know, you don't know where human rights starts from or who hosts the human rights in the continent. It's actually the Gambia. The Gambia is hosting us. We have Honorable Bakari. We also have Honorable Patrobas. I hope I get it well. Patrobas Pascal Katambi from our neighbor, the Rwanda, the Republic, the United Republic of Rwanda. Is he in? Yes, I don't see him here, but okay, yes. And then also, of course, the next person is my brother. My brother, Ray Ocheng, Honorable. You see, he's a very youthful honorable here. We've been with him all over. You see, when you talk about Gen Zs, we also need to have a representation of Gen Zs in our cabinet. And my brother here, Ocheng, Honorable Ocheng here, is a good representation. And that's why you see now the Kenyan youth are smiling. Yes, they were grumbling, but when you have a representation of a youth leader who is representing us, the Gen Zs, this is what you get. And thank you, my brother, for coming and honoring always our invitation. He's always there. Whenever you invite him, even if it's Morocco, even if it's in Lesotho, he will appear. Thank you, Honorable, for coming. And then, of course, lastly, we always talk that, we are not inclusive. The ideas of inclusion is something that people don't emphasize as much. But I would want to commend the government of Lesotho. The government of Lesotho is very progressive. He has been able to ensure that our young people, we have a team. And I'm going to, before I invite the Honorable Minister, I would just want to report, Honorable Minister, that the Council has a young team in Lesotho there that is doing amazing work. So please put your hands together for Honorable Pitso. Lesagwana. I will learn these things. I need to get a woman from Southern Africa so that I can get these names properly. Gonaya should facilitate so that I can pronounce these names properly. He's the Honorable Minister of Gender, Youth, and Social Development. So, Minister, you're welcome. And with no order, I think I will start with the Honorable Minister Bakari to just share a few thoughts with us. Then we will then proceed in a few. Then we will then invite our APRM colleagues and open up the floor for our young people to share their thoughts. Yes, Honorable, welcome. And please feel free to reintroduce yourself if I murdered the name.
No, you got it right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good afternoon to all of you. Of course, the Master of Ceremony, thank you for that energetic ceremony, mastering of the ceremony. Now, interestingly, before I get to the main topic, he raised a question about how many of you know Gambia, and I saw only a few hands. And I was wondering if that is the actual thing in the room, or some of you were just not happy to raise your hands. But either way, so sometimes we face that. Not many people know where Gambia is. We know many countries in the continent and around the world, but sometimes we are not known because maybe we are a small country. But yes, so we are in the West Africa, and like the Master of Ceremony said, we are hosting the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And that places us there in the map when it comes to human rights issues. And it has been a long-time history. And we're also hosting the Institute for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa. So that alone is some of the things that happens in Banjul. Recently, we hosted the OIC, which is the second biggest gathering of world leaders apart from the UN. So now, if you know Senegal, you probably would go down and look. That's where Gambia is, very close. We actually surrounded on 3 sides by Senegal and then the Atlantic Ocean on the western part. All right, so that's an introduction about Gambia. So my name is Bakary Baji. I'm Minister for Youth and Sports from the Gambia, and been around with the Youth Connect. I was going to say Commonwealth. We just came out from that meeting. But yeah, so we've been around with the Youth Connect, and this is my fourth year, actually, fourth year. All right, so on the topic about young people and entrepreneurship and what we need to do within the continent to be able to support each other, support our young entrepreneurs. I mean, the presentations have laid the foundation for all of us to understand what happens around the continent, but specifically what is happening in certain individual countries that support their young people to do business. And I'm going to pick up from the Senegalese experience. And like I said, we have a common thing with Senegal in terms of culture, in terms of religion, and we speak the same language. And these situations are the same, because back home in Gambia, we have quite a number of young people that are into business. Some of them are here exhibiting what they do, and they call it Made in the Gambia. But the challenges are the same because of issues of financing, issues of even understanding business concepts, and having the right mentoring and the right coaching. These are the challenges that they face. And so what we did recently, or 4 years ago in Gambia, is to launch what we call the Youth Entrepreneurship Fund, which is a president initiative meant to support young businesses, SMEs, and startups in general. And every year, we advertise for young people to apply, and there is a credit review committee that looks at the credit worthiness, even though we don't have a credit scheme, of young people asked to what the business is about, and if you give them the grant, because it's a grant and a loan, if you give them the grant, what can they be able to do with it? But also, if they have gone past the level where they need a grant and they're supposed to be given a loan, can they be able to finance it? Can they be able to pay? But most importantly, with the amount involved, be able to support them to create a business and run through it and succeed. But the challenges are the same, because sometimes young people in general have the idea, but they don't have the right mentorship, and they get into it with the thinking or the ambition that they will succeed, and they eventually get to fail because the systems are not there. And some of them would start off well, and then they want to scale up within a very short period, and then they get into the bank and get money, and then they realize now they have to struggle to pay for the principal and the interest, and then that ends up making them fail. So the statistics that we've seen here across the country, in Rwanda here, in Libya, in Nigeria, and all of that, shows the same trend all over Africa. So our role as policymakers is what can we do to be able to support our young people, but primarily, what can we do to learn from the other countries that have succeeded in creating policies and systems that work well for their young people, and we adopt that. And that's where the AfCFTA will probably come into play. That not just encouraging trade within Africa and among African countries, but taking best practices, best examples from some of these countries that have succeeded, and take it to the other countries in the continent that will also be able to learn from those best practices that have worked well in these other individual countries that succeeded. And Youth Connect is one of those platforms that give us the opportunity to be able to interact, to be able to learn from each other. And for MasterCard Foundation, of course, we followed the work they've done. And today we have an event, a side event, and some of you are invited to come if you have time, where we're also having a MasterCard representative who would be coming to make a presentation. But we're looking at, for instance, the best examples in Rwanda and in Nigeria and in Kenya. And of course, there are other countries that are doing so well, but us from the Gambia, we see these 3 countries having succeeded in creating systems that work very well for their countries, and we're looking forward to taking some of these examples. I want to conclude by saying, I know some of my colleagues are here who are ministers, and I think we, not even think, believe that all of us, and if I'm wrong, I think most of us are young from the ministers that are from Africa. So we have to be the one that will lead that process of ensuring that we carry along our other colleague ministers who are in charge of finance and who are in charge of trade, so that they believe in the issues of young people. Because I know, for instance, in our own country, the youth and the sport budget is always very limited. And I want to believe it's the same thing like we have in Gambia is what we have in other countries. But here we are carrying a huge responsibility of supporting young people who sometimes constitute almost 60% or more than 50% of the country's population. But yet our budget is limited. And that is not our fault. It is because the policies that are made are focusing on other priority areas. So as youth ministers who are equally young, we have a responsibility to be able to advocate for these young people so that our sector is well-resourced and well-financed and supported with the policies to be able to do what we intend to do for our young people who are into the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And that will take a lot of processes, but a lot of advocacy, but I believe it is possible, and that is the only way out for us. Otherwise, we would continue to meet and discuss issues, but the changes wouldn't happen because it is not just sitting around the table to discuss that make the change. It is about what can we do at our country level to be able to make people believe in what we're doing and what we believe in, and support the process and finance it, change the policies to make it work. And in our trip coming here, we deliberately brought the Ministry of Trade because we know they're a key partner if we want to support young entrepreneurs, because they are responsible for employment and trade, but they're also responsible to make the right policies that we are going to make our young people benefit from. So we look forward to furthering these conversations, but I thought these are some of the things that I'll just want to share in brief, and appreciate Youth Connect for giving us this opportunity to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And of course, when we say that the ministers are young, you look at the minister, isn't he young? And this is what we need. You know, if I'm to walk into your office, I will actually be free enough to even share my thoughts. But thank you so much for this. And of course, as they say, that the ideas that ministers share is what literally speaks about their age. You know, they always say that age is just a number. But what matters is what ideas comes out of our leaders. And I think that's, for us, that's what we focus more on. And of course, from my country, Uganda, we try as much to ensure that there is that progression, that regardless of everything that we do, our ministers should be able to speak the ideas of the youth and also front the ideas of the youth. And we support that. So for what matters more is what comes out of the minister, and you can see that our panel has been able to give us what we want as the young people. So we are going to switch it a bit. Since we have our ministers here, since we have your excellencies here and our ministers, we would want to use this opportunity to have a dialogue, a one-on-one. As our young people raise the questions, our ministers also then within their submissions be able to respond. But I think we would need to focus it on a few things. Number one would be on if you're going to be able to share your thoughts, and either you are directing it to His Excellency or the other ministers present here, you should tell us. Number one, where are you? Are you a youth in trade, first of all? But in what stage? Where are you in the value chain? Where are you in the production, especially the trade value chain? And then, eventually, you could also ask, you could also share with us, what is your challenge and how best do you think we should also be able to address those challenges? So you're going to ensure that within your submission, in 2 minutes at most, you give us. I know we are business people. We expect you to be able to pitch within even 30 seconds. But within 2 minutes at most. But let me limit it to 1 minute so that we can get diverse views in the room. So I don't know who is helping me with the mic behind there. So number one, just mention your name, where you are in the production and trade value chain, and how we can further support you in the process. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Natalie Siorurema. I'm blessed to be a daughter of Rwanda. I'm a business person, but at the same time, I'm a youth leader. So I'm going to talk for the youth today. Basically, I have 2 companies. One, I'm the head CEO, and the other one, I'm the marketing director. The one I'm the CEO of is a company of tourism that helps bring people to Rwanda and helps them to basically visit Rwanda and know more about Rwanda. The other one is about agriculture. So we process chili. We have chili processing company that's called Sky, and I'm the marketing director. So I'm going to stand here and say that there's plenty of challenges. There are plenty of channels given to us, but unfortunately these channels are on papers. They basically stay on papers because there's no channel to make the youth know about them. That is the first biggest challenge that is there. I myself try to make them know on my level best as a leader, but the fact that if I can reach only like 1,000 people, well, if you put it on social media and everything that we watch every day, I think it would get broader and bigger. I don't know if it's making sense. We are talking to the youth, we are talking to Gen Z. Gen Z is basically here and on the screens. They are always scrolling. So if we were to put these things out there, try to make them as social media as possible, it will be more out of papers and on the ground for them to know. So that is just a suggestion I'm giving. I'm posing a question and giving a solution for it.
Maybe the question, just make it clear briefly. What would be the question?
The question is that we have plenty of things that are here for us to help us. We have MasterCard Foundation, we have SheTrade, I know them. We have AfCFTA, so like the whole market of Africa. But still, these things are on paper. The youth don't know about them. So basically, if they could make them more youth adequate.
Okay.
So digitalize them.
So information, access to information.
Yes.
Is the issue.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So yes, you're raising an issue. Yes. Question, value chain. I would want us to focus on the question so that we ensure that we take advantage of our honorable ministers and excellencies here to see that we get the best out of them. Yes. Where are you in the value chain and how can we further support?
Thank you very much. My name is Christian Achaleke and I'm from Cameroon.
Yes.
I work in the peace and security sector and specifically how to support young people who have been associated with violence and crime to have an alternative through business. And most recently, for the past 8 years, we have a program called Prisonpreneurship, building entrepreneurs from prison. And one of the challenges that I recently saw, one of them was incarcerated for 135 years. And through our program, he was released in the 16th year. And 2 weeks ago, he launched his first collection, Healing Through Fashion. Now, the most interesting thing about it is the fact that Africans, we question the quality of African products, and she talked about that. My question to all the investors, MasterCard Foundation and the others, how are we working hard to ensure that from basic education, young people, children start understanding the importance of loving, using, valorizing their product, and what is the return to them if they engage in that? What are we doing to achieve that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I believe the MasterCard Foundation team has highlighted that. Yes, I think we are taking about another 2-3 hands, then we bring it back to the panel. In 2 minutes, your business and how best do you think we should help? Yes.
My name is Tumotoslam from Lesotho. I come from a company called NutriNest, which focuses on sustainable packaging for products across the industry. Our value chain is much of human effort now. So we have a lot of demand for sustainable packaging because we are trying to phase out plastic in packaging industry. So our ask is to be helped with machinery so that we can supply the market. Currently in Lesotho we have about 50,000 plus SMEs, corporates and others. So the market size is already heavy on our shoulders. So we need to scale up so that we can be able to provide them. because one of the most important factors that in packaging standards determine 70% value of the product. So this is some of the products we do. It's a customized gift bag made from plastic free. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just next to the Right Honorable Minister here, so he has had your pitch, and I'm hoping something will happen. I've engaged him briefly, and he's a very progressive honorable, so I believe something will happen. Yes, thank you. We've had a female, yes, male. We need to have gender balance to ensure that at least we have a representation. My colleague from Uganda. You want again to, let's give the lady behind the mic, then we will come back to you. But we are going to have another round. So yes, there's a lady here already with the mic. Then we will have her. Yes, please, in 1 minute.
Good morning, everyone. I am Bokat Tabani from Lesotho, and I'm the Managing Director of Bioscience Laboratories. And we are a laboratory that focuses on food safety. We test food and cosmetic products that come from Lesotho, and our biggest challenge is accreditation, seeking accreditation, since that our clients cannot reach the international market because we do not have like a benchmark, and we cannot also give them a benchmark for them to reach the international market. We seek support and advice on how to overcome this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I am right here next to him. He's listening. I am right here. So if anything, he will get us the best results. And then, yes, the lady at the, yes.
Hello. My name is Esther Nyalunja. I am from DRC, and I'm running a project with the refugees where we train them on new agriculture technologies so that they become self-resilient, independent, and not depending on aids from outside. So the challenges that we are facing is to provide markets where they can present their products, because we are doing hydroponics and vertical farming, and they get some vegetables and some tomatoes they can sell so that they gain a few findings, income, where they can be independent. So the challenge is to get markets where they can sell the product they are getting. And the other challenge is we are in need of strategic partners and studies findings to extend the work we are doing. Yeah, so my question is to the ministers and the authorities around if they can assist in the work we are doing. Thank you.
So your ask is money and what?
No, the ask is to access the market.
Yes.
For the refugees, how they can access the market and to present the product they are getting.
Yes.
Yes.
That is the ask.
Yes, the ask, and the strategic partner, how to get to get in touch with the strategic partners so that we extend the work.
Partners to amplify your work.
Yes, exactly.
So it should technical support or financial support.
Yes.
Which one do you want? Technical or financial?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
Hey. Okay. Now that is now the ask we want. You be specific. Be specific. Yes. Where are the hands? We've had Southern Africa. Lesotho is taking over. We've had Southern Africa, now DRC. Your ministers are here. Cameroon, we've had Cameroon.
We're here.
Let's go to my brother here. Okay, you already have the mic?
Hello.
Yes, let him come first. Then you in 1 minute, please.
All right. Good afternoon, members. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm coming from Uganda. I came here for this youth challenge to connect with the youth here. So what we do, we are an organization called From My Farm. I'm the project manager and also the founder of this application. So we connect farmers, suppliers, and buyers in this platform. At the same time, we also provide infographics for the farmers so that they know what they are actually advertising. So we are what we call a shorefront, or marketing shorefront for the farmers that are out there. Our aim is to change the lives of over 500 million farmers across the globe. So just to break it down, we believe that, we have what we call farmer agents. These farmer agents will help these farmers who do not have smartphones advertise their farm produce. So if we assume that a farmer agent has over 100 farmers he's managing, so if you divide that by 500 million, we are counting about 5 million farmer agents. This is what provides jobs for the farmers that are out there. Second part which I would want to say, before I go to the question, is that we also have the section of suppliers. Suppliers, we have agronomists, we have the agronomists, which are the research and information, non-equipment, and equipment. These are the inputs that farmers need. So we are trying to provide also employment for farmers. We are currently in production. We have our app on Play Store, but not yet on Apple Store, due to the lack of funding, advertising, and reaching out to the buyers out there. So my question is that partnership, we are a startup. We registered last year. We began in 2022. But the issue that we faced is what we call partnership. Partnership whereby if I go to an organization and we want to collaborate, see how we can fix, how we can make things work. But you see, these companies, they do not tend to work with, it's quite hard to work with organizations. It's quite hard to work with those partners if you're a startup. They tend to move with people who are already moving. Now, that affects the youth who do not have the capital and also the visibility. So that was the challenge that I was having. Also, the thing that they might also look is also the appearance. If you're young, they see that you have not gone through the steps of life. So now, it is upon us to now move forward and now start doing things by ourselves, which I have actually been doing. Being a project manager, human resource, a recruitment officer, everything, moving out there in the field. Because I saw that, you know what, let me take myself forward. And yes, that is what I wanted to actually say. How do you help other youth who are moving in that same path in terms of partnering with people? Thank you.
Good. How many are raising up their hands? Let me see. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The hands are increasing. But yes, I will come back to count because you're now mixing me. Yes, in 1 minute. So that at least let's ensure within 1 or 2 minutes so that others can speak. Okay. Keep it brief.
Greetings to everyone. I'm Divine Kobe, promoter of Foodmark Engineering, an enterprise that conceives, designs, and fabricates solar-powered digital machines for food production and processing in Cameroon. What I want to ask is pertinent to me because within us here, I see a potential market, I see potential partnerships, I see customers, I see a lot of resources that we as entrepreneurs, we can get within us here. So I wanted to ask the director of Youth Connect if it would be possible to create a platform that the representatives of each country within us here can be part. I think this will really help us to link within us here in Africa and be connected. It will help us in partnership, customers, and many other forms. So that's my question.
Thank you. Next, the lady near, yes, with the green scarf. Green scarf, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Kamara. I'm from the Gambia. So none of our entrepreneurs are here, so I'm going to speak on their behalf. I am the General Manager of the National Enterprise Development Initiative under the Ministry of Youth and Sport. We promote enterprise development and also access to finance to young entrepreneurs. We've been supporting entrepreneurs a lot in Gambia, and one of the key challenges is, Gambia is a small country. We have just about 2 million people.
As we promote entrepreneurship, it's difficult for them also to get market in order to sell their products. So that's one issue. The other issue is most of our entrepreneurs are involved in poultry production. Gambia, according to statistics, in 2022, we spent over $40.1 million to import poultry products in the Gambia, making us 177th largest importer of poultry. But we have a lot of poultry farmers. We need investors to come in to support our poultry farmers, especially in the area of animal feed, which has been really challenging for them, especially in trying to make money out of the skill or the work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, let's come this side a bit. The man with the hat behind. In 2 minutes.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Brian Kithenji from Policy Action Initiative in Kenya. My question is, we know that contrary to many misconceptions out there, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement does not address internal taxes on exports produced from one country to another. So for example, if I'm a young person and I've produced goods in Kenya and I want to sell them in Uganda, the AfCFTA only addresses the tariffs that I will pay to sell from Kenya to Uganda. But the excise duty on goods produced in my country, I'll have to pay it. The value-added taxes, I'll have to pay it. The certificate of origin, I'll have to get it. I'll also have to get an export license. I'll also have to pay custom handling duties. All that taxes makes it very difficult for I, as a young person, to sell my goods outside of the country. This is even with the AfCFTA, even if we implement it to the letter of the law, because it doesn't address those issues. So my call to all the leaders there, what can we do to harmonize our tax regimes internally? If we can even have one simplified, like for example, one simple VAT tax in all African countries, so that we don't pay 18% in Kenya, and in Tunisia they are paying 12%. What can we do so that we can make our goods produced by young people like us to become competitive, and we can compete with products that are coming from outside the continent, which have been exempted from these taxes based on the deals that our governments have already signed? Thank you.
Thank you. This row now, this front row, I will start from okay, the colleague right next there. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
In 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Martin Mwashigadi. I'm also coming from Kenya. So I also wanted to ask a question to AfCFTA. I just wanted to ask, what are we doing in terms of creating a digital market highway that can be able to give these market information to a lot of young entrepreneurs who want to probably buy and sell? Because you can imagine if there is somebody in Ghana who needs, there is a need for a product in Ghana, and I'm in Kenya, and my market is saturated with the same product, and I can be able to deliver that need to Ghana. So what are they doing to be able to create that so that we could be able to move more trade between countries? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. You've raised your hand now, but yes, just give him in 1 minute. The colleague at the far end, in 1 minute. So I've seen the hands that are here. I'm hoping there are no new hands coming up. Okay. Yes, please.
Ok, merci. Moi, je suis Uster Akira, je suis du Congo-Brazzaville. Alors, avec mon groupe, nous sommes de la production de machines, en fait, de solutions mécaniques destinées au marché africain. C'est-à-dire, nous construisons des véhicules spécifiques en fonction de nos besoins, de notre environnement et tout. Pour prendre un exemple simple, vous voyez par exemple l'architecture de la ville rwandaise, les montagnes, les descentes et tout. Je pense que s'il faut avoir un véhicule au Rwanda, c'est mieux d'avoir un véhicule conçu pour la ville, en fait. Donc, dans le cas de la ZRICAF, j'allais demander, en fait, il y a quelqu'un qui m'a demandé tout à l'heure au stand, ben, si je dois commander 10 véhicules chez vous, le fret et tout ça là va être un peu compliqué pour moi. Est-ce que c'est pas mieux de venir fabriquer ces 10 véhicules chez nous pour que le local, c'est-à-dire former également, travailler avec des locaux pour leur former dans la suite, sinon le service après-vente de ces véhicules. Est-ce que la ZLECAf va aussi accompagner dans le sens où si je suis au Congo, je viens par exemple construire des véhicules au Rwanda, est-ce qu'il y a une solution finalement adaptée à ça? Merci.
Merci. Thank you. I hope you've captured that. Yes, so let's move to, yes, these four hands. These four hands will be the last hands on this row. Then we will do the 3 hands I saw the other side, and then we come back to our panel, and we'll close.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Ronald Akankwatsa. I come from Uganda. I head the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Cluster at the Uganda Youth Coalition for SDGs and at the SDG Secretariat, Office of the Prime Minister. And I think this is the right room to be in. So my question, or it is in form of a suggestion, because we have been talking about limited access to funding for youth-led businesses in this Africa free continent or trade area. And my suggestion is like this. How about as a continental free trade area, can't we pull funds from different countries? For example, Uganda cannot have enough funds to facilitate or to fund businesses in Uganda, all of them. But if we pull funds from different countries, we make a fund like the business fund for African youth businesses, you understand? So that young people can access credit on concessional terms, actually loans on concessional terms that has no interest, and they're able to scale up and actually grow their businesses to actually export and accelerate trade in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please, in 2 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I am Francois, the CEO and founder of AgroVolution from Cameroon. AgroVolution is simply a startup specialized in food processing agricultural product who helps in the reduction of post-harvest losses in Cameroon. And this is one of our product. Madam Gogo, this message is special for you. I'm the brother to Amina. This just to say that the challenges that she presented with Amina is the challenges that we are facing all in Africa. I come from Cameroon. The name of my product is Ubuntu. I think if you are from Kigali, you understand what Ubuntu means. Me taking that name from Cameroon, I didn't know that it was a name in Kigali, in Rwanda or South Africa. But when I came here, everybody from Rwanda passed to the stand. Are you producing here? Are you producing here? I'm like, no, I'm from Cameroon. Say, why the name Ubuntu? This is just to tell you that Africa is one. We consume the same thing, we have the same culture, and we must promote our product. Me coming here, I didn't have no idea of my product being here, but I'm sure that while living from here, I want my product to be present here. Because some people here told me that they'll buy the product not just for the quality, but just because of that name that I've given to the product would be used together. This is just to say that I have the vision to make this product a pride of Africa, because what we are consuming is being imported from abroad. I don't have any problem with what is imported, but let it consume our own and also export it to them. For this, I personally need technical skills, because when I ask money to MasterCard, when they give me that money, what do I do? Today, I'm doing the production at my own level, but it's small. But if I have to feed Rwanda, how much does it cost? What, do I have that intellectual capacity? No. I'm asking personally for technical skill. Secondly, to have money. And third, what I'm going to say is that, please, this program like this, organized one time in a year, is very small. Because the problem that all of us have here is communication. People don't have access to that information that tell them that you can be able to do this at this moment and this is how you do it. We are talking here about ZLECAf, but so many people producing don't know about ZLECAf. Why this is an opportunity? Please, you have to communicate more and more about what you are doing in order for it to impact us. And the last thing I'm going to say is that programs must be organized also in schools, especially university, because this project, I started it when I was in university. I'm a graduate in integrated agriculture from the Kali Institute of Boya, and that's why I had this idea. I've never asked for a job because I want to create a job, not just for Cameroon, but for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Second last on this row, in 1 minute.
Okay. Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning, everyone. I'm Fabrice Tama, IT manager engineer from Cameroon. I represent two entities. One, Bliss Global, an NGO, who trains young kids as from 6 years to be excellent engineers and in coding and robotics. So as from 6 years, we train our children to know how to code, know how to create their own robots, know how to design their products so that they can be able to sell in the market. So I have this challenge. The first challenge is, how can we convince our peers, how can we convince our neighbors, how can we convince our parents so that they can come and participate in the project? Because sometimes when we say about all of these, they think, no, better we send our children abroad, or better we buy things from abroad and bring to our continent. Whereas us here, we can do it and our children can do it. They don't give that confidence in our children, because if we visit our stand from Cameroon, that innovative products that us, our children, we created, we did, but they are not that accepted because maybe they say, no, we are from Cameroon, it is not original. How can we remove that mindset from our peers? Secondly, I'm the CEO of a company, Shavito, and Shavito is based on design, creating hoodies, designs, and everything. And my brother said it here, he said they don't have confidence in us. That is, if you see you are young, they might say you don't have that experience. You cannot do it. You need to go through many years. And my challenge is, how can we convince our youth? How can we convince our people to also put that confidence in us to test our products? Because some people from abroad that come and buy our products and go, but yeah, they don't have confidence in us. How can we touch them, and how can our government and others support us for it to be great and mighty? Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, here, then we will move and then come back to our panel. Lastly, the lady at the here, my brother from Cameroon, just push the mic in front here. Yes. In 2 minutes.
Hello everyone.
Yes.
I'm Edith Diba from Republic of Congo. I'm in agro-processing business. So my challenge is the fact that I'm producing this product, the coconut chips, in my country. And if I want to export in another country, I have a problem that we don't have a database or like a platform for each country for all entrepreneurs. Like, is it possible to create a database or platform from each country for different entrepreneurs, and then it will be easy for us to trade? This is my first question. And the second one is a request for the MasterCard Foundation. It can be established in Republic of Congo to support our entrepreneurs. It will be so nice. Most of the time they are in other countries, not in the Republic of Congo. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the last batch on the other end. We will start with the 2 hands and the last 2 hands. Oh, yes. So our policymakers want to, yes, the points are so many. So we will first of all engage let them finish. Yes, so the 4 hands, our policymakers are going to lose track. The 4 hands can wait. Let our policymakers first answer. Yes, some of the questions may actually be answered. So let me bring it back to our policymakers here. Let me start with Lesotho, Honorable Minister here. Then we could then progress slowly. Maybe the mic. Thank you. Yes, maybe, yeah, you will. Is it on? Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm Minister Pitol Sawana from Lesotho. I heard when you're talking about my country and that they are moving on because you're looking at my wheelchair, which is fine. The questions have been just too many, But if you group them together, you'd find market access, you'd find financial intervention, collaboration. The guy at the end there, he talked about that one day, he talked about sort of patriotism, because how do we make our children love our products more than any other thing? And the lady with the bag, I don't even know how much is it, maybe I'll buy for myself. The question, and I don't want to answer a question, but I want to maybe as a policymaker challenge AfCFTA, especially after that question from that chap who talked about taxes and customs issues. I think it's time, just like Youth Connect has done, has put the youth, has put the policymakers, all from all other countries, at least once a year in one room where we discuss these issues. I think AfCFTA, it's time that maybe you take one minister youth, one minister trade and industry in each country that is maybe in the Youth Connect, sit and see how you review the AfCFTA policies, and even contribute, let them contribute to policies of how we can make, if this water it's made in Rwanda, how do we make it possible to get it in Lesotho, for instance, and the one made in Lesotho get it in Senegal? Because the problems that are arising now, and you look at Africa, the Chinese, the Europeans, everyone have managed to penetrate us. I mean, all of them in here, I'm sure, one or the other, they buy certain things from those countries. When do we sit? I think it's time that we have to sit thinking of youth and their productions and how to unlock and open the market for them. We have to sit, think of youth and how they should access finance. We have to sit, think of youth and see how that chap who wants to sell from, I don't know, did he say Tanzania or something like that, to Tunisia, there's no much difference in taxation to the extent that it is futile for him to do so. So I think that is what we need, to see when you can sit with policymakers and review the agreement. I think if we can do that, then, I mean, if I may digress a little, I was at the Kenya summit, and the theme there was borderless Africa. And with my young mind, sometimes my mind is as good as that of a 5-year-old. When you see something, they give you seeds, you think they'll be coming. When I saw that borderless Africa, I thought today would be, maybe my blanket would be worn by somebody from Gambia or something like that. Because of when I listened to Borderless Africa, I remember we were together there, I thought that everything will be exchanging like that. But we are not. So I think it's time AfCFTA call on those ministers, the ministers of youth. I'm deliberately, I know AfCFTA is not for youth, it's for trade. But I'm deliberately saying youth because you have to listen to, we are here, we sit for the youth. You have to listen to the youth, and they know what they know better. It's funny. I heard many of them saying that we look at them and we don't find confidence, but unfortunately the truth is reverse. They know better. And as for the guy with is it AEEI index from Stellenbosch, from South Africa, Pumla, the index is good. I must comment, I was actually listening carefully. It's good and it can help. And maybe if you can have two other pointers, the export pointer and the import pointer, to see per country how much you're exporting, how much you're importing. that would do. But the biggest challenge I see with you is your data. Data, once you get the wrong data, it will give you wrong results. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Clap for Honorable Minister. Thank you. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you so much. I know we are almost on the very dangerous zone. 1,000 ways to die. We are almost between you and lunch. And I think it's a very risky part to be at. So I'm Raymond Ochieng from Kenya, and we've just done the Nairobi 2023 of Youth Connect. Hello, Kenya. Kenya did an amazing job. We were all there. And today, I think we'll be awarded to be having the largest delegation. And I think that award will go to my minister. We have also the Kenyan ambassador to Rwanda here with us, with a huge delegation. Thank you so much. So again, as Minister said, and to the ministers who are here, senior officials within government and international agencies, young people of this great continent, innovators, and the promise of now and the future, who is you. We are very deliberate and very excited, and I'm not going to answer, and I want to agree with the minister. The questions are so many, even the rest that are going to come the next batch. Let me just sit on a bird's eye view vantage of policy making, so that then I just make very overarching broad statements on a highway then that then can also address, in a way, some of the things that we have said. One, AfCFTA is a great tool that we have. And I'm very glad that Nairobi is going to be hosting a symposium that is coming up next year in March. And we want to invite you. And I want us to take great opportunity, young people who are here. Because this room, courtesy of Youth Connect Africa, is a powerful agency. Because as we speak here, ministers of Africa are here. We have business moguls that are going to run national agendas and continental agendas who are here as well. And I think that also came in the auditorium when we said there is a powerful agency right here. So I think the forum that we're going to be having in Nairobi, let's be very deliberate. And I want to agree that the demographic dividends that we have just been told, and we're talking about African capital, we are talking about our strength is human resource. Our strength is the numbers and the majority of young people that is going to be projected that we are going to be taking the lead. Then how then do we address this need? And I've listened to brilliant stories and ideas from Cameroon, from the Gambia, from Tanzania, from Zimbabwe, and we have great stories. From Lesotho as well. We have great stories. But then, how then do we scale these successes beyond our national borders to continental borders? And I think this must be brought to the feet of policymakers. And we want to thank Youth Connect Africa, and I believe on Monday, the ministers' meeting, and this framework that, Grace, we are pushing, I think at some point we must be on the AU floor, and heads of states of government and heads of states and government we must then move from talks to action. So how then are we going to track and have very deliberate, meaningful framework from Youth Connect Africa, and with the support of the ministers? And I want to urge the member states who are here. First, one of the things that we can do, the best thing we can do to our countries, let's adopt the African Youth Charter. Those would be the basic things that would also help young people to be on the table without looking at their back. Because it will be very deliberate. And I think as ministers who are here, you can really admit, when you hear great stories of what young people are doing, then it tells you the promise and the future of Africa is a close reality of being now. But then how we move forward. And I want to urge us, and the president yesterday made a powerful statement. He said, he wishes, and he was very grateful that he was not given a microphone to do a speech. And he said, some of these things that we are saying, how then can we make them to action? So these brilliant ideas, and I see two categories. I see national barriers, and I see continental barriers. And at national levels, there are many of us within the ministries of youth and sports and arts, whatever, how those nomenclatures and domains have been curated. we have national hurdles. And some of the national hurdles that we have, access to capital, we've talked about capacity building of young entrepreneurs, startup funds that must be put up at national levels. And I think this we can do a peer review. And then through Youth Connect Africa, then we audit ourselves. How are the countries that are doing so well on some of the things that my brother from Stellenbosch has just shared with us? Then how then do we also peer review ourselves and then adopt some of the best practices? And then in closing, the other critical part then would be the challenge has been access. And I think that's the Nini about the seed initiatives that we have here. It's all about access. Access to finance, access to networking capital, access to market. Then how then do we come up with deliberate policies as countries to then make sure that then we do this thing right? Because we are not going to succeed at the continental level if we've not done these things at the national level. So I look forward in March, and we look forward to really put the issue on the continental free trade area in terms of the youth symposium to make sure that deliverable outcomes are made and young people are put deliberately on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we will hand it over to Miss Asuko from the MasterCard Foundation to also share.
Okay, thank you so much. And I know there's other youth speakers. So first of all, thank you for your feedback from the young people. This is exactly what we needed. And this dialogue in helping us to remain accountable. So first of all, thank you. And just very quickly on a couple of questions that came up around education and entrepreneurship. It's definitely something that the MasterCard Foundation is working on right now, to be able to embed entrepreneurship curriculum into education and at a much younger stage, because we believe that entrepreneurship is a spirit, it's a mindset, it's a risk-taking behavior, and it's a belief in oneself, and that needs to be inculcated early. Secondly, with regards to information, much more information is required. We heard that, we heard you, and we have to do it in a way that's accessible to yourselves. I love that somebody said it's about Gen Z and how Gen Z accesses information. So we'll take that back and really try to make sure that social media is at the center of that information sharing. Platforms, digital platforms, digital markets. We do believe that private sector is really important here. So partnering with the private sector to be able to put young people's product on digital platforms, because it's not easy to have the skills to even go on to a digital platform. There's photos, there's ways of presentation. I think that's something we'll definitely pick up. Countries, it's true, right now, MasterCard Foundation is in a number of countries, but we will definitely, and I'm on the Pan-African platform, work with the needs and where we hear young voices to be able to reach out to you. And I think finally, with regards to MasterCard Foundation, it is part of this partnership, coalition, alliance, to be able to support partners on the ground that are mission aligned. And that mission alignment, those values start with the young person. So thank you very much. And back to you, David.
Thank you, Director. I think we'll move to His Excellency. I know Cameroon has been on fire.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I think it's difficult to answer all those questions, but I can summarize all those preoccupations in one problem that was expressed by some is information, right communication in direction of young people. And that's the main problem even for the compatriots who ask those questions, is lack of information. And that's why we have put in place that important program I describe, which is the moral, civic, and entrepreneurial rearmament. Entrepreneurial here is not only to create enterprises, but the spirit of initiative. Because sometimes young people are lacking this mindset, because if we change the mindset of our young people, all the other problems are solved. Even information, because you see the question which are asked here, sometimes there is no need to ask them. You go, you Google, and you have all the information now. Those platforms exist, but they don't know. For example, in Cameroon, we have put in place what we have called the National Youth Observatory, which is a platform for the information on young people, because in each young people can express their preoccupation and have the right orientation, guidance to the project and program that can suit to their preoccupations. But it's not consulted. We, Youth Connect Cameroon, we have launched another platform, which is Youth Connect Cameroon platform, to connect young people between them and also to other opportunities. Then it's not usually used. So there is a problem of mindset. But there are some who are benefiting from those programs. So I think that what we can do is, as some colleagues said, we have now Youth Connect Africa, and we have the African Continental Free Trade Fair, the trade area. So we can digitalize more those platforms so that we can reach those young people wherever they are, because they are asking for data. They don't have those data. They don't have connection with other peers in the other countries. And I think this is the main objective of the Youth Connect Africa, which can be contextualized at the national level. So I think this is the great job we have to do, both at the national level and at the international, at the African level. So I think the colleagues here are engaged. The presence, our presence here, it means that we are engaged in developing those policies in favor of young people. But young people should themselves take their responsibility and look for right informations, go and change the mindset, and we can also develop those programs in schools, universities, and so on for moral, civic, and entrepreneurial rearmament, so that to boost their moral for the compatriots. I call them here the indomitable lions and lionesses, because we want them to have that fighting spirit, and if they have that fighting spirit, they can succeed. They'll find solution to their own problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think we'll pass it on to the Executive Director.
Thank you. Very, very shortly, because I think our colleague have much more to say than me. There was a question from a Cameroonian there about our role in information sharing. I mean, it came up a lot. So the answer is yes. I mean, there's a lot we can do to encourage much more collaboration across region. And a couple of days ago, I was discussing with delegates from Congo, Brazzaville, and Chad, and the request was the same. They want the same thing as you, opportunities to connect at regional level. So we'll definitely work on that. I want to assure you on that. And also, of course, information sharing. There's a lot we can do, definitely. I think it's clear that there's a consensus on that, and we'll play our part. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Before Gonaya comes, Gonaya has a mouthful of answers to give. I think I will give the colleague first, then Gonaya will come in.
Thank you. Two things. One is that that's the reason why I'm here, to democratize information. So I was chatting to the minister from Gambia here, saying, "Well, this is useful, but we didn't know about it." So I think I agree with you, and that's why we've created an index like that for policymakers. Of course, we need other resources for young people, and that's freely available, as I mentioned. The other bit that I wanted to say is an observation, which is I'm surprised there's ministries of youth and trade, not education here, because there's been a lot of reference back to education, whether you're talking mindset, skills. So we did a jobs model last year as part of contributing to knowledge. It hasn't been published, but we cracked numbers, and based on our model, it takes 7 years to create a high impact venture in Africa. So when we say we need 18 million jobs, if you read other papers, they'll say 15. So let's say a minimum of 15 million jobs a year or maximum of 18 million jobs a year. What you're invariably saying by deduction or induction is that you need an army of entrepreneurs, basically, that will create high impact ventures, or 18 million young people should self-employ. Either way, it points to this mantra, this talent. So I wanted to mention that it's not the occasion today, but we launched a talent diagnostic tool which profiles the entrepreneurs on 13 competencies that I think could be useful as well to see who's bankable as an entrepreneur to begin with. So based on our numbers, we just modeled for Rwanda. What would it take for Rwanda to create 15,000 jobs by 2030? For example, just 15,000 is an arbitrary number, but that would require 1,600 entrepreneurs. 1,600 high-growing entrepreneurs equals to 15,000 jobs. Obviously, 15,000 jobs is not a lot. So if you scale that at the need that we need, which is 15 million jobs in the continent, you just multiply that 1,600 by 1,000, and that takes you to 1.6 million entrepreneurs. So often we talk about the product, which is employment, and we don't talk about the real number, which is Africa effectively needs 1.6 to 2 million high impact, high growth orientated entrepreneurs every year to create 18 million jobs. To understand that number, what would it take for the continent to raise an army? I'm not talking startups who are employing 1 or 2 people. I'm talking a few high growth firms, which is almost 10% of that 18 million jobs. So we need 2 million plus minus young entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
And so that's just a number I wanted to throw and insert into the space as well, that I think departments of education and other institutions can think about.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Gona, the floor is yours. Yes.
Thank you very much. But I think what I appreciate more is this roundtable so far, because I believe this was the right time for us to sit here and discuss these issues. I'm just going to try to go through a few questions that I feel we directed to the AfCFTA Secretariat. Let me start with the young entrepreneur from Rwanda, the chili processing company, where she was urging us, the policymakers, to try to find a way of making sure that access to information is in the right, youthful, accessible way, like Honorable Minister has indicated. As I've mentioned, the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade has been successfully adopted earlier this year. And this protocol, because it is the protocol on women and youth, integrating women and youth within the framework of the AfCFTA, it is believed to be legally binding. It is a legally binding document, meaning that member states
are to adhere to what they have agreed or what they have adopted. So in the protocol, we have Article 13 that actually talks about access to information. And it actually tries, actually requests member states to facilitate access to market intelligence and trade information for women and youth in trade, including those in remote geographic areas to improve their ability to access not only AfCFTA information, but also market for their businesses. Apart from Article 14 that actually urges, 13 that actually urges member states to create such platforms, we also have the Africa Trade Observatory, which the AfCFTA has been depositing some information on African market that is available to everyone. So let us also try to utilize the Africa Trade Observatory. But I think also within answering this question, like the minister has indicated, also as the young people, let us try to also get to focus on getting the right information ourselves. I mean, right now, how many of you know Davido? Exactly. And I can ask again, almost all of you know where Davido is by now. But you would not know that the AfCFTA Secretariat has a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, an Instagram page, these are the platforms that we believe are for young people. But because Davido is more important to you, you only bring issues of access to information to this table, forgetting that the tool that you carry every day, which is your mobile phone, is one of the most powerful tools you could actually use as a young entrepreneur. So we also urge you that as member states, as policymakers, we are also trying to come up with these initiatives and emphasize that access to information is very important to young people, but also as the young people, let's try to get the right information and the right pages. I think the other interesting question that drew my attention was the question from Kenya on how can we harmonize the trade regimes, actually the tax regimes. And the AfCFTA, it's all about making trade easy, and the barriers he's talking about, the agreement wants to tackle those barriers. And when it comes to harmonization, and the reason why we still have these issues is because the agreement is yet to be implemented. But we also have the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund. The AfCFTA Adjustment Fund is in three bases: the base fund, the credit, the general fund, and the credit fund. The base fund of the AfCFTA adjustment is mainly to compensate member states from their losses of revenues that will be caused by having to stop any taxes or any custom duties that will take place at the borders. So it would be tackled under the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund, because we believe that as member states are to completely remove any financial barrier to trade across border, they will be compensated under the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund base fund. But since I'm already at the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund, we also have within the fund the credit fund. The credit fund will address the question of access to finance, which is also already addressed under the article also on Article 10 of the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade, which urges member states to come up with those initiatives that can actually make it easier for young people and women to access finance, to be able to trade across borders. But the credit fund under the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund, its main purpose is to support SMEs and private sector to be able to to trade under the AfCFTA. And I know the main question would come and say, but SMEs, of course, why are we not including youth? And if you have looked at the provisions of the fund, you'll understand that within the credit fund, it does not in any way discriminate on SMEs in terms of age, size. And I think within the ministerial regulation that is coming on preferential market access for women and youth, we also have a provision that we are requesting member states to adopt to include the term youth within the credit fund of the adjustment fund. And the reason being, of course, that youth themselves also experience these challenges, and we believe that since we have been advocating for a continental investment fund that can actually support young entrepreneurs, but it seems member states are driving away from that conversation. We already have the adjustment fund. Why don't we just include youth within this fund, where member states have already agreed that the adjustment fund will draw funds from, of course, Afreximbank, but also member states to help themselves compensate with the losses of having to do away with custom duties or any taxes at cross borders. But also, let us take advantage as member states to contribute to the credit fund, knowing that within this credit fund, we are securing funds to support our youth to trade across borders. So I wanted to just emphasize on that one. And I want to also say that the AfCFTA is for young people. His Excellency Wamkelemene has always made it very clear that there is no accelerated implementation of the AfCFTA without the young people. Because it is very evident that the most people who are trading on ground are women and youth. Even though they're in the informal sectors, but even right now, if we are to go to the border of Rwanda and Uganda, who will you find there? Youth and women. So this agreement, the reason why the protocol was developed was because because of the understanding of the majority of women and youth involved in cross-border trade. And therefore, to Honorable Minister of the Lesotho, prior to developing the protocol on women and youth in trade, we had made sure that we did, of course, the regional consultations where we had to meet with the young people in all regions of Africa to get all the challenges that we are also discussing here today. But I'm also very appreciative because some of the new challenges are coming, and it would, of course, inform future implementation of the protocol. But prior to the development, we carried out the regional consultations where we went to regional economic communities and convened such forums so that we get the problems that young people are experiencing, so that these recommendations from these consultations could guide the development of the protocol. Yeah. Also, the AfCFTA had its first ever Women and Youth in Trade conference that was held in Tanzania in 2022 as one of the biggest platforms to consult young people and inform them of the development of the protocol on women and youth in trade. And it is at the same conference that young people really complained and said that we do understand that there's a forum for women and youth, but however, women and youth are not a homogeneous group. So we would like to have our own platform. And that was where the AfCFTA Youth Symposium was recommended to be the only platform that can actually bring together, especially ministers of youth, because by that time we had understood that we are progressing with the advancement of the adoption and ratification of protocols and the agreement, but we are leaving the ministers of youth behind. So the AfCFTA Youth Symposium that was convened in Zambia last year was composed of mainly ministers of youth, but also ministers of trade. So we do have that platform, and it was at the at the first AfCFTA Youth Symposium that we gladly formed the first ever AfCFTA Youth Task Force Committee that Ekoyaka chaired, Yalda is part of, and few of the youth associations in this meeting are part of. And it is because we understand that you are the advocates of the young entrepreneurs on ground, and you are the right people to guide with the development of most of the policies at the Secretariat. I also wanted to tackle the question of some issue of access to market. I think it came, yes, I'll be very fast. Yes. Access to market, it also, has to do with the barriers, right? But also as the young people, let us look at the tools that we have on ground, Facebook, but also from the AfCFTA, some of the initiatives that we tried to promote access to market or to bring young entrepreneurs together for them to be able to connect and, access other markets of Africa. We have the Biashara Africa that actually took place last few weeks back in Rwanda, where we also supported few young entrepreneurs to come and meet investors at that is the AfCFTA Business Forum, to come and exhibit and also, try to get more contact of possible customers for their products. We also have the ITF, which is actually the most biggest marketplace that can be created, that was created under the AfCFTA. So unfortunately, I have limited time, but I am very grateful, and let the questions keep coming, the suggestions, as I've indicated that we are also developing the Ministerial regulation on preferential market access for women and youth in trade, but also remember that we are on the 5th year of review of the AfCFTA agreement. So this could be one of the papers that could be presented to the Committee on Women and Youth in Trade. Thank you.
Thank you, Gonaya. Thank you. Please clap for her. She's done a good job answering. Yes, and now we will go to our last two before we go to the way forward and eventually closing. The colleagues, I know there were 4 hands there. I'm encouraging you, please document them. Please document them. And before I hand over to Madam Treasurer, to just within 2 minutes to just share. I know a lot has already been spoken. I would. The minister here is saying just in 30 seconds he wants to share a few thoughts. Yes, Minister.
Okay, thank you. It's because the question was asked on standards. I missed answering it, but then I thought it would be answered as we go along. I can see that it is not answered. That issue of standards, unless maybe, I don't know how the youth can do it, because I don't think us as the policymakers have achieved it anyhow. I'll make an example. The United States of America, they have the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. It administers the entire United States of America. And any product that has the FDA badge, you know that it is okay. So when you have your chili from Tanzania, or you have your chili from Lesotho or from wherever, once we can get to a common standard, and maybe the youth can develop it, because I don't know if we can. Once we can get to one common standard for Africa, for the youth products, and maybe they can even use that Youth Connect Africa logo. If you have that logo here on a bottle like this one, we know that that product is fit for use, and it's common for all of us. Then I think that will break us that market barrier that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable. I'll just hand over. Please clap for that. That's a very good point. Yes, Treasurer, in two minutes. Then also my colleague from the APRM, Peter, also in 2 minutes. Then we can then bring the way forward. Yes.
Thank you very much. I've been listening with increasing excitement at this dialogue, especially the dialogue between the ministers, the policymakers, and the entrepreneurs. The A-Trade Group, which is a social enterprise that partners with the African Union and the AfCFTA Secretariat, I feel that we could assist in part of the way forward, because what we have done since 2018 is build an ecosystem gradually of partners that would connect digitally to make trading easy, possible for small businesses, medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs. And we have a specific focus on women and youth because of all the reasons that have been said. But our first experience was in 2019, we launched a global competition for youth startups, and we were overwhelmed because we had 4,900 or so applications from 51 countries. At that stage, we didn't even know our platforms could reach 51 countries. So this was, but the quality of the innovations, and this is really credit to the wealth the continent has, gave us a challenge, because what we were trying to do was identify those who could go to the Intra-African Trade Fair in Durban in 2021. I'm giving you this anecdote to say that there are policy lessons. I've worked on the policy side. I used to be at the AU, and I'm now on the implementing side. And I think that the alliance, I think Atsuko used the word alliance, of like-minded people, leaders who want to make sure youth win out of the AfCFTA and all the policy instruments. I have just a couple of suggestions. One is that as we look at the enabling instruments that go with the AfCFTA, let's remember it is part of a framework called boosting intra-African trade. Because the AfCFTA, I can hear all the questions going to AfCFTA. What are you doing about this? The AfCFTA is, of course, a powerful lever, but it is not able to address infrastructure, all the things that need to be addressed. So let's just remember that. Secondly, the free movement of people. I don't want to say more. I can hear people saying, Fortunately, we're in Rwanda, which is an excellent example of how to do it and do it right. So we just say, let the other countries take inspiration. Young people must be able to move, whether it's for study, whether it's for work or whatever. Let's create that. And part of it means we have to ratify certain instruments at the AU, but then move to domesticate them. So finally, the third thing is we have a very interesting platform, a Pan-African platform called Sokoku.Africa. Say Sokoku. Sokoku. Sokoku.Africa. For those, I think there are a lot of people from Kenya, and it's large market, central market, and it designates unity. And the idea was that we wanted to offer this platform as a way for us to test whether the instruments work and what are the real opportunities and the real challenges. So we have started onboarding businesses, improving the partnerships, and there are partnership opportunities for logistics players who are young, youth-owned businesses, payments. I know there's a lot of fintech activity going on around the continent. We are basically setting up a multi-payment gateway so that the customer can choose how they want to pay, and the logistics, which is fragmented and not really working so well, and this is where the governments have to weigh in, yes, I think more, and so that they can be part of it. So finally, for youth, there are also job creation opportunities for the youth affiliate program that we have. And I don't have time to talk about it. Please invite me to Kenya so I can have a 10-minute slot, not 2, so that we can further the conversation. Because as has been said, what we are doing is practical, and we're learning by doing. And frankly, what was said about ecosystem building was, for me, very important. We work with universities, we work with industry, we work with governments, we work with the private sector. So we are basically trying to solve for those issues. But what we didn't have, which I hope we will have today, and thank you, Youth Connect, is to be connected with the pulse and the energy of what's changing Africa, and that's the youth. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I will hand over to our colleague from the APRM, Mr. Peter, Katwesige, maybe in 2 minutes, then we could hand over to the way forward now from UNDP Africa. Yes.
Thank you so much, program moderator. My name is Peter Katwesige from the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, an Africa Union specialized agency tasked with the responsibility of engaging heads of state in policy issues which have come out of this conversation. And I'm not going to make any formal speech given the time, but I just want to share one of the things that we do in relation to what has come out of this ministerial conversation. One, we do policy lobbying, and the youth policy is one of the key tools that we are lobbying countries really to ratify, domesticate, but also start by signing. So we do those three components. One, pushing countries to first of all sign. Number two, to ratify, but most importantly, supporting countries to domesticate. Even the CFTA agreement, we are doing that. Number two, we do what we call experience sharing. And the panel already mentioned that. What is working well in Rwanda? And how can His Excellency Paul Kagame convince His Excellency Ruto to implement that policy in his country? So we create this platform of heads of state, not even ministers, heads of state, to lobby and to share experiences of what is working in their countries and what they can learn from the other countries. Also, we do the knowledge exchange, and this is now at the ministerial level, but also at technical expert level, where stakeholders or policymakers from various countries interface. As I conclude, what we have observed as AU organs, as the ministers, as CFTA, I want to conclude and say, hearing the views that have come out, one, it is evident that the youth of Africa, the people in this room, are not just educated. Honorable ministers, we need to agree on this, all of us. But the youth are skilled. You've seen that. The youth are talented. The youth are innovative. They have showed you, some of them have already showcased. But also, you must have heard their energy. They are energetic and passionate. I'm sure if the ministers, you are keen, or even MasterCard, if you are keen to keep an eye in the room, you could see that most of the youth were actually on their gadgets. It's not that they are chatting. Most of them are showing you that we want to move out of this. They are taking notes. Whereas for us, or you, as the elders, we are still interested in this. So that is the innovativeness that we, the youth, have showed us. And this is a key take away for us. And I think we need to keep challenging ourselves as policymakers and AU bodies. Are we going to keep on replicating the Kodak model? You remember what happened to Kodak? It refused to migrate, and then all of a sudden what happened? Exactly. Are we going to remain there, or are we going to take the policies out to the youth? Are we going to develop policy-centric? So it has been a wonderful pleasure, us as APRM, listening keenly, and we didn't request for the microphone to make intervention, but we wanted to listen to this conversation so that when we are drafting policy papers for excellencies, we capture some of these ideas that are coming. Finally, great appreciation to Youth Connect and the partners, UNDP, MasterCard, for really making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. I know we are coming to the close of our agenda. We will just have a way forward from you, Mr. Komi, from UNDP Africa, and eventually our host then closes. Then we can have a photo moment and we call it a consultation. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. So my name is Komi Cho.
I'm the UNDP Regional Advisor on Trade, AfCFTA, and glad to see many of our partners that are actually almost all of you are our partners. Yes, I think this was quite engaging, and we all recognize that the AfCFTA is more than a trade agreement. All the issues that we discuss, I'm not going to repeat all of them. What will be good now, we all agree that we should move from, we still need to talk, but we should move more into action. So how can we also now leverage the Youth Connect Hub and national chapter to build the program around how do we support, through the established network of partnership, more entrepreneurs to trade toward national, regional, and continental markets. That is one of the suggestions on the way forward, and our honorable ministers of youth, I understood, are driving the work around also supporting, guiding the Youth Connect at national level. But how do we also come together? I know the national AfCFTA committees, a lot of countries have established the national AfCFTA committees, and it will be important that the ministries in charge of youth affairs also are well represented, and as well as the youth leads. But I will believe that a program, you can create a program around key 4 pillars with a main objective, which is objective of the Youth Connect this year is really about creating jobs. And we all know that no matter how well the policy is in place, we need more entrepreneurs to be able to absorb the labor that are coming annually to the market. So entrepreneurship is important. So my second point will be then, key pillars will be around business development and innovation. We have a lot of young entrepreneurs, what we know, innovating. So we need to encourage them to establish more funds to support innovation. We at UNDP, we have launched Timbuktu, where we were also working with a lot of partners in investing in the startup. Third point will probably be skills development to address also the skills mismatch we are increasingly seeing on the continent. We identify, I think the Secretariat has worked to identify some priority sectors under the AfCFTA. How do we then make sure that we are developing the right skills to match the requirements of the industries? And the last point, which I think is quite important, is the whole spectrum of digital transformation. It will address issues around access to finance. It will address issues around access to information. So how do we also leverage digital marketplaces to really be able to trade more what the continent produces? And my last point, as part of the program, which is a suggestion, is partnership at the core of it. Well, we can have a program together with Youth Connect, Africa Hub. I'm sure Master Foundation colleagues are here as well. At UNDP, we are also very committed to support the AfCFTA. We are happy with the AfCFTA Secretariat and all of us to support national governments to really help youth produce and trade more of what we consume. So that will be my suggestion with the way forward, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Kobe. And of course, our host then closes. Edie, you are welcome to close us, then we can have a photo moment, and then we call it a consultation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It will be very short given the time. So just to extend first and foremost my sincere gratitude and appreciation for our distinguished panels. Honorable ministers, thank you very much for your time, for your contributions. Esteemed colleagues, partners, thank you for your partnership, for your support. And our esteemed colleagues, entrepreneurs, young leaders here. Thank you for your questions and for your energy, really. I think we agree on pretty much everything. We agree on the challenges. We agree on the solutions. We even agree on the way forward, which is a call to action. So there's not much to say. As Youth Connect Africa, I want to reiterate our commitment to really work even harder with all stakeholders, governments, NGOs, youth associations, our partners, traditional partners and new ones, to really push in the interests of young people. So thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the meal.
Thank you. I think, yes, at this juncture, we can start with a high table. We could have a picture here, all of us, APRM, AE Trade, Honorable Minister from Lesotho, we could join in. Then, of course, we will also have the audience also join us. The camera team, please. Yes, we could just use the backdrop. That backdrop would be good. Yes. While the rest, we should be on your marks. We should be on your marks to join in. Please. Yes, we're waiting for you. Join us. Yes, 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 all of us, join.